Sir, unmute ಮಾಡಿ sir, Vinod sir. Start ಮಾಡಿ.
Good evening and warm welcome back to the second day of SIRC Sub-Regional Conference hosted by Ballari branch, jointly with Hubballi, Udupi, Belagavi, Mangalore and Mysore. Wish you all a very happy and prosperous Deepavali. I heartily welcome CA Geeta Madam, Treasurer SIRC, CA Ballari Sir, convener of the conference and SIRC member, and shortly our chief guest, CA Prasanna Kumar, Central Council member, will be joining. He is on the way to Tirupati. The topic of the today's session is reporting requirement with reference to accounting standards, SAP and ICDS. The topic selected is very, very important and vital. The report plays a very important role. After completing our assurance services, the reports are on the record, and always the department has the power and tool to levy the penalty under section 271J if there is negligence in the reporting. And even our institute disciplinary committee has the power to charge under the misconduct if there is any wrong reporting. So today, to enrich their knowledge on a Deepavali day, we have organized such a topic, and the speaker of the day is Shri Gururaj Acharya, a very vibrant and eminent speaker on this topic. I heartily welcome you, sir. Now I request the convener of the project, CA Pannara sir, to welcome the today's dignitaries and delegates to the conference. Pannara sir. So you have to unmute.
Yes, am I audible now?
Yes, sir, audible.
So good evening all, and welcome to the second day of the two-day sub-regional conference of SIRC of ICAI hosted by Ballari branch. I am very happy to share one or two views with you on this Deepavali day. And Deepavali, as we all call, ಕತ್ತಲಿನಿಂದ ಬೆಳಕಿನ ಕಡೆಗೆ, ಅಜ್ಞಾನದಿಂದ ಜ್ಞಾನದ ಕಡೆಗೆ, ಕಡಿಮೆ ಜ್ಞಾನದಿಂದ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಜ್ಞಾನದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೇಗಾದ್ರೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡು 2000 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಚರಿತ್ರೆ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಕನ್ನಡ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದ ಒಂದು ತುಣುಕನ್ನ ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಇದು ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ. ಈಗ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕ್ಲೂಸಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಸಬ್ ರೀಜನಲ್ ಕಾನ್ಫರೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅರೇಂಜ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್. So we miss only one branch, that is Bengaluru branch, because they had a parallel program yesterday. So we have made it really a Karnataka program. ಇದು ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ಆಚರಿಸಿದಂತ ಈ ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡದ ಒಂದು ಮನಸ್ಸುಗಳನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಕರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಕನ್ನಡದ 2000 ವರ್ಷದ ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ, ಚರಿತ್ರೆ ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಏನಿದೆ, ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದ ಇತಿಹಾಸ, ಪಂಪ ಕುಮಾರವ್ಯಾಸರಿಂದ ಇತ್ತೀಚಿನ ಜ್ಞಾನಪೀಠ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿ ಪಡೆದಂತ ಕವಿಗಳವರೆಗೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಬಹಳ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾದಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದ ಕೊಡುಗೆಯನ್ನ, ಜೀವನ ಸಾಧನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುವಂತಹ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯವನ್ನು ಯಾಕೆ ನಾನು ಇವತ್ತು ತಗೊಂಡೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಕನ್ನಡ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನು ಒಳಗೊಳ್ಳುವ, ಎಲ್ಲರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸಹಬಾಳ್ವೆ, ಸರ್ವರಿಗೆ ಸಮಪಾಲು ಸರ್ವರಿಗೆ ಸಮಬಾಳು ಎನ್ನುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಮೂಲ ತತ್ವದ ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು 2002ರಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ, 2000 ಇಸ್ವಿಯಿಂದ ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ 2000 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಬಹುದಾಗಿದೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಪಂಪ ಹೇಳಿದ ಒಂದು ಮಾತನ್ನ ನೆನ್ನೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ಮತ್ತೆ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಅರಿವಂ ಪಸರಿಸುವುದೇ ಧರ್ಮಂ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅದರ ತಡೆಯುವುದೇ ಅಧರ್ಮ ಅಂತ. ನಮ್ಮ CA ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ನ ಧರ್ಮ ಕೂಡ ಅರಿವನ್ನ ಕೊಡುವಂತಹದ್ದು, ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನ ಕೊಡುವಂತಹದ್ದು ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಕವಿ ಪುಂಗವರನ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ನಾವು ಸಹಬಾಳ್ವೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದಲೇ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಇಷ್ಟು ಮೆಟ್ರೋಪಾಲಿಟನ್ ಸಿಟಿ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲೇನೆ ಕೇವಲ 28-30% ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರು ಉಳಿದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರನ್ನ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸ್ತೇವೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂತ ಒಂದು ವಿಶಾಲ ಹೃದಯದ ಜನ ನಾವು ಅನ್ನುವಂತ ಮಾತನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ, ಆ ದಿಕ್ಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಕವಿ ಒಂದು ಪದವಿಯನ್ನ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ರಾಜ್ಯ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. 8 ಜ್ಞಾನಪೀಠ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿಗಳು ಬಂದಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಅತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಬಂದಿರುವಂತಹ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಭಾಷೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಕನ್ನಡ ಭಾಷೆ. ಅದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಕವಿ ಒಂದು ಬಿರುದನ್ನ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಕೊಡ್ತದೆ. ಅದು ಕುವೆಂಪು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟ ನಂತರ GS ಶಿವರುದ್ರಪ್ಪ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿತ್ತು. ಆ GS ಶಿವರುದ್ರಪ್ಪನವರು ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಕವಿತೆ ಹಣತೆ ಹಣತೆ ಎನ್ನುವಂತ ಕವಿತೆಯನ್ನ ನಾನು ಇವತ್ತು ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನರಿಗೆ ಹಂಚಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಹಂಚಿಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಅವರು ಈ ಅಜ್ಞಾನದಿಂದ ಜ್ಞಾನದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ನೋವುಗಳಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ, ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಬೇಸರಗಳಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮುಂದುವರಿಯೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ಬಹಳ ಮಾರ್ಮಿಕವಾಗಿ ತಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಕವಿತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಣತೆ ಎನ್ನುವಂತ ಕವಿತೆ. ಆ ಕವಿತೆಯನ್ನ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಗುರುರಾಜ್ ಅವರ ಮತ್ತು ಕೆಲವರು ಇನ್ನೊಂದಿಬ್ಬರು ಮೂವರ ಆಸಕ್ತಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನ ಉಚ್ಚಾರಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂತ ಮಾತನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ, ಈ ನನ್ನ ಹಣತೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಾಧಿಸಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತೋ ಅಷ್ಟನ್ನು ಸಾಧಿಸೋದಕ್ಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಆದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಹೋರಾಟವನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಇವತ್ತು ಕೂಡ ಈ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ಈ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಶ್ರಮ ಪಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಮತ್ತು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟರಿ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನರಿ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ವೀಕ್ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ ನಾವು. ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸಿಂಗ್ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಷನರ್ಸ್, ಆರ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಎರರ್ಸ್ which may lead to the disciplinary proceedings against them in future. ಸೊ ಆ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಈ ಜ್ಞಾನದ ಒಂದು ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆ ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ, GS ಶಿವರುದ್ರಪ್ಪನವರ ನನ್ನ ಹಣತೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಕವಿತೆಯನ್ನ ಇದು 66ನೇ ಇಸ್ವಿಯಲ್ಲೇ ಬರೆದಿರುವಂತಹದ್ದು. ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನು 10-12 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ಬಳಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಹಾಡುವ ಕೋಗಿಲಿಗೆ ಬಿರುದು ಸನ್ಮಾನ ಬೇಕೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಹುಡುಕಿದೆ ಇಲ್ಲದ ದೇವರ, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುವ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ದೇವರುಗಳನ್ನ ನೀವು ಹುಡುಕೊಳಕ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಿಮ್
ಪನ್ನರಾಜ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಪನ್ನರಾಜ್ ಸರ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಪನ್ನರಾಜ್ ಸರ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಪನ್ನರಾಜ್ ಸರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಆಡಿಬಲ್. ಸಮಯ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡಿ.
ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇದೆ.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್.
Some technical problem from his side.
No, Pannaraj has muted himself. I think he has pushed that button.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
So we can, I think we can move forward or wait.
ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ.
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಸರ್, ರೆಡ್ ಸಿಂಬಲ್ ಇದೆ.
ಎಸ್ ಎಸ್
Gururaj sir, we are not able to hear you.
Okay sir, thank you. He has conveyed his best wishes for this.
ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಸರ್.
Am I audible?
ಇವಾಗ ಆಡಿಬಲ್ ಸರ್.
Okay. So Prasanna sir may not be able to. This one is weak. The connectivity is weak, so he may not be able to. So he has wished friends all the best. So I'll not take more than 2 minutes now to GS ಶಿವರುದ್ರಪ್ಪರವರು ಬರೆದಂತ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೂಡ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಜ್ಞಾನಪೀಠ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿ ಬರಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಆ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕಾದಂತ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತಲೇ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕಾದಂತ ಒಂದು ಏನಿದೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಬೆಲೆ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡದೇ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ, ನನ್ನ ಹಣತೆ ಈ ಶೀರ್ಷಿಕೆಯ ಒಂದು ಇದನ್ನ ಕವಿತೆಯನ್ನು ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಹಣತೆ ಹಚ್ಚುತ್ತೇನೆ ನಾನು ಈ ಕತ್ತಲನ್ನು ಗೆದ್ದು ನಿಲ್ಲುತ್ತೇನೆಂಬ ಜಿದ್ದಿನಿಂದಲ್ಲ. ಲೆಕ್ಕವೇ ಇರದ ದೀಪಾವಳಿಯ ಹಡಗುಗಳೇ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಳುಗಿ ಕರಗಿರುವಾಗ ನಾನು ಹಚ್ಚುವ ಹಣತೆ ಶಾಶ್ವತವೆಂಬ ಭ್ರಾಂತಿ ನನಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಣತೆ ಹಚ್ಚುತ್ತೇನೆ ನಾನು ಈ ಕತ್ತಲಿನಿಂದ ಬೆಳಕಿನ ಕಡೆಗೆ ನಡೆದೇನೆಂಬ ಆಸೆಯಿಂದಲ್ಲ. ಕತ್ತಲಿನಿಂದ ಕತ್ತಲಿಗೆ ತಡಕಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿವೆ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಗಳು ಶತಮಾನದಿಂದಲೂ. ನಡುವೆ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಬೆಳಕು ಬೇಕೆಂದು ಆಗಾಗ ಕಡ್ಡಿಗೀಚಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ದೀಪ ಮುಡಿಸಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ವೇದ, ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರ, ಪುರಾಣ, ಇತಿಹಾಸ, ಕಾವ್ಯ, ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಗಳ ಮತಾಪು, ಪಟಾಕಿ, ಸುರುಸುರು ಬತ್ತಿ, ಹೂಬಾಣ ಸುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ತಮೋಸೋಮ ಜ್ಯೋತಿರ್ಗಮಯ ಎನ್ನುತ್ತಾ ಬರೀ ಬೂದಿಯನ್ನೇ ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಕಂಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ನನಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತು ಈ ಕತ್ತಲೆಗೆ ಕೊನೆಯಿರದ ಬಾಯಾರಿಕೆ. ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಬೆಳಕನ್ನು ಇದು ಉಟ್ಟರು, ತೊಟ್ಟರು, ತಿಂದರು, ಕುಡಿದರು, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಬೇಕು, ಇನ್ನೂ ಬೇಕು ಎನ್ನುವ ಬಯಕೆ. ಆದರೂ ಹಣತೆ ಹಚ್ಚುತ್ತೇನೆ ನಾನು, ಕತ್ತಲೆಯನ್ನು ದಾಟುತ್ತೇನೆಂಬ ಭ್ರಮೆಯಿಂದಲ್ಲ, ಇರುವಷ್ಟು ಹೊತ್ತು ನಿನ್ನ ಮುಖ ನಾನು, ನನ್ನ ಮುಖ ನೀನು ನೋಡಬಹುದೆಂಬ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಆಸೆಯಿಂದ. ಹಣತೆ ಆರಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ನೀನು ಯಾರೋ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾನು ಯಾರೋ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಜೀವನದ ಈ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಸಮಯ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದರ ಅರ್ಥಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಬದುಕಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಸಾಧನೆಗಳ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕಾರ್ಯಪ್ರವೃತ್ತ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ನೋವನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ, ಆದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗೊಬ್ಬರಾದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮ ಅರಿವನ್ನ ಮೂಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಬೆಳಕನ್ನು ಚೆಲ್ತಾ ಸಾಗೋಣ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಂದೇಶದಿಂದ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ನಾನು ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಗುರುರಾಜ್ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಅವರು ಅದೇ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಈ ಬೆಳಕನ್ನ ಚೆಲ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಬೆಳಕಿನ ಜ್ಞಾನದ ಅನುಭವವನ್ನ, ಅದರ ಒಂದು ಫಲಿತಾಂಶವನ್ನ ಪಡಿಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಜನ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಇನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಜನ 80 ದಾಟಿದೆ ಈಗ. ಇನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಜನ ಬಂದು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಒಂದು ಲಾಭವನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಈ ಮೂಲಕ ಕೋರ್ತಾ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಶಾಖೆಗಳ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರುಗಳನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ಪದಾಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳನ್ನ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಚಾರ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಅಕೌಂಟೆಂಟ್ ಸದಸ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸ್ತಾ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ದೀಪಾವಳಿಯ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿ ನನ್ನ 2 ಮಾತನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೇನೆ.
Thank you, Bannara sir, for welcoming the members. We also heartily welcome panelists for the technical sessions, CA Anant Naran Pai from Udupi and CA Natraj Murushalli from Hubballi. We welcome you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So moving forward,
Thank you.
now I call upon CA Geeta KB, Treasurer SIRC, to give her opening remarks of the conference. Geeta madam.
Happy morning, one and all virtually present. I would like to appreciate Ballari branch headed by Chairman CA Swami and his team members, and force by CA Bannara sir as an ex officio member of Ballari branch for having this sub-regional conference at Ballari. But I am sure if it had not been this pandemic situation, this conference would be at another level. So it would have been in historic place Hampi. That was our plan. And it's my immense pleasure to share the screen with the distinguished chairman of Bengaluru branch, the senior person, the second biggest branch in Karnataka, and chairman of Mysuru branch, Vasudeva Rao sir, the illustrious speaker of this session, CA Gururaj Acharya sir, the panelists, CA Anant Pai sir, senior member, Udupi, and CA Natraj Murushalli sir from Hubli. So at that, I would like to wish you all a joyous and prosperous Diwali, and hope this festival of lights will brighten our lives with sparkle of peace, contentment, joy, always and throughout. So it's a well-known practice of considering Diwali as the honest of New Year according to Vikram Samvat calendar. There is a 57 years of gap between Vikram Samvat calendar and the Gregorian calendar which we follow. So ideally, 2020 is 2020 plus 57, that is 2077. So according to Vikram Samvatsara. In Nepal, that Vikram Samvat calendar is officially used, but in India, predominantly it is used in Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. The Kata book that the traders maintain for a financial year is not the financial year from April to March, but it is written from one Lakshmi Puja to another Lakshmi Puja. So the new books of accounts are prepared and they've opened, and they start with the swastik by drawing the swastik symbol. So on this day, we worship God, the deity of prosperity, and invoke her blessings and grace for our endeavors. So it is considered auspicious of being to begin any endeavor on this auspicious day. So I believe so many people will try to invest on this day. Because there is a customary practice and belief us that whatever we invest today, it will get 1,000 manifolds. So we are all investing our valuable time today for enriching our knowledge through none other than our Guru, Gururaj Acharya sir. So we at ICAI have time and again proved that we are consistent in our pursuit, come what may. We have lived by the consistent and constant portrayal of competence. Pandemic was converted from threat to opportunity as we leveraged the technology in staying connected, updated. So now marching forward to this conference, we have convened sub-regional conference virtually. It's another feather to our crown. So the conference, though officially led by Ballari branch, as Panara sir said, it is all other joined together to make this conference a success. So this is the testimony to the fact that in collaborating and organizing a massive event like this in a week of pandemic situation among various constraints. So as a spirit of knowledge, sharing and updation continues, the topic of this session is also the need of our, as Panara sir said, and the initial open note address, the secretary of Ballari branch also mentioned about this. We are busy with tax audits and filing income tax returns of, but surely it comes as a breather to have an expert to brief us about these reporting requirements. So which is relevant for this. So in fact, I need to thank the speakers for taking so much of time, effort, and investing their time in R&D in spite of their hectic schedule. So I wish all the delegates a happy session ahead. And once again, I would like to wish everyone a happy Diwali. Thank you.
Thank you, Geeta madam, for joining with us and giving your inspiring remarks. Now I call upon Chairman of Bengaluru branch, CASS Nayak, to introduce our eminent and dynamic speaker, Gururaj Acharya. Over to SS Nayak, sir.
ನಾಯಕ್ರೆ ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್.
Good evening, distinguished leaders in our profession. CA Pannaraja sir, Council Member of Southern India Regional Council, and our Mangalore branch caretaker and ex officio CA Geeta madam, and all the speakers and our fraternity. It is my pride and proud privilege to introduce the speaker of the day and two panelists on this auspicious day of Deepavali, that is Naraka Chaturdashi. CA Gururaj Acharya sir, he is a Guru. The name itself speaks about him. Gurunam Raja Guru Rajaha. So that means he is not only Guru for all our chartered accountant fraternity, he is a Raja of all Gurus. So likewise, his name always speaks. Then Achinoti iti Acharyaha. That means it is like a Sarvajna. We know no Sarvajna. So one who knows everything is Achinoti iti Acharyaha. So today, Sarvajna's one small quote I will say in Kannada and start regarding introduction of our CA Gururaj Acharya sir. So Kalmanje ಎಂಬ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಗ್ರಾಮ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಂತಹ ದೊಡ್ಡ ನಗರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದವರು ನಮ್ಮ CA ಗುರುರಾಜ್ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳ ಒಂದು ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಸರ್ವಜ್ಞ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಕಲ್ಲರಳಿ ಹೂವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿ ಮಲ್ಲಿಕಾರ್ಜುನನ ಶಿಖರಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಳಕಾಗಿ ಬಲ್ಲವರು ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್ವಜ್ಞ. ಏನು ಒಂದು ಚಂದದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್ವಜ್ಞ. ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಗುರುರಾಜ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರವರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಯಶಃ 100% applicable ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳ ಒಂದು ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. CA Gururaj Acharya, he hails from our own place. Even though I am the chairman of Mangalore branch, Udupi is branched out from our Mangalore. Udupi and Mangalore is undivided Dakshina Kannada only. So he belongs to Temple Town of Udupi. Then ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ಉಡುಪಿಯು, ಬೆಳೆದದ್ದು ಬಳ್ಳಾರಿಯು, ಈಗ ಜಲಕ್ರೀಡೆ ಆಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವುದು ಮಾತ್ರ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳ ಒಂದು ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಗುರುರಾಜ್ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಸೊ ರ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ರೈನ್ ಎಟ್ CA ಗುರುರಾಜ್ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳ ಒಂದು ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ಎವರ್ ಐ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಹಿಮ್, I always list of ranks. So he is the first rank, then CA Inter 21st rank and CA final 10th rank, and ICWI first rank in Inter and third rank in final. Not only scored ranks in his academics, he has scored ranks in his profession also. He was a director of State Bank of Mysore, and he is in the expert advisory committee and committee on accounting standards for local bodies of ICAI New Delhi. He was. Then he has authored book Internal Financial Control, a practical handbook on audit report on what can go wrong, published by Karnataka State Chartered Accountants Association. All of us know that CA Gururaj Acharya is resource person on company law matters, accounting standards and standards on auditing, corporate finance and financial analysis, corporate tax, tax audit, and many more areas he is specialized. Today, he will be supported by two panelists. See, any musician to perform, there should be playbacks, the instrumentalists also. Today, we have two instrumentalists to support the great musician. One is CA Ananta Narayana Pai. Ananta Narayana Pai, he is also from Udupi. He has all Anugraha of Sri Krishna. So I am very proud to introduce CA Ananta Narayana Pai also. He is a senior partner of Pai Nayak and Associates, founder secretary of Udupi branch and past chairman of Udupi branch of ICI. He was a co-opted member of Young Members Empowerment Committee of ICI, and he is a great philanthropist also. And I am very proud to say that he has liberally donated premises for ITT lab of Udupi branch of ICI. He is representing various corporates on taxation, audit, and company law matters. He is always smiling, and he is. I am very proud that he is he has produced many very illustrious and genius chartered accountants under his leadership. I welcome CA Anant Narayan Pai, our C. Acharya Murshili. So on seeing his biodata and seeing his face, I was very much thrilled. Murshili, he is a trainer and inspiration. So I want to will see the chartered account of 36 years of experience. He is a trainer by passion, and he has trained thousands of students and members on life skills, soft skills, and spiritual skills, and experienced in career guidance and counseling, and well-known motivator and life coach. So he was a past chairman of Hubli branch of ICAI and also past Sikasa chairman of Hubli branch of ICAI also. So he is on the board of Cooperative Bank and a life member and working committee member in various social organizations. So I am very proud to introduce CA Nataraja Murshali as a co-panelist for our CA Gururaja Acharya's program. Last but not the least, I would like to say one Subhashita and conclude. All the three are with the smiling face, and all they have enhanced the value of this today evening program. Vadanam prasada sadanam sadayam radayam sudamucho vachaha karanam karopa karanam yesham kesham nate vandyaha. The meaning of this is Vadanam prasada sadanam. ಯಾರ ಮುಖವು ಪ್ರಸನ್ನತೆಯಿಂದಿರುತ್ತದೋ ಸದಯಂ ಹೃದಯಂ, ಯಾರ ಹೃದಯವು ದಯಾಮಯಿಯಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೋ, ಸುಧಾಮುಚೋ ವಾಚಃ, ಯಾರ ಮಾತುಗಳು ಸವಿ ಮಾತುಗಳಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೋ, ಕರಣಂ ಪರೋಪಕರಣಂ, ಯಾರ ಅಂತಃಕರಣವು ಪರೋಪಕಾರಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಮಿಡಿಯುತ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತದೋ, ಯೇಷಾಂ ಕೇಶಾಂ ನತೇ ವಂದ್ಯಾಹ, ಇಂತಹ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಯಾರಿಂದ ತಾನೇ ವಂದಿಸಲ್ಪಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಈ CA ತ್ರಯಾಸ್ 3 ದಿಗ್ಗಜರು ಇವತ್ತು ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಏಬಲ್ ಲೀಡರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಅವರ್ CA ಗುರುರಾಜ್ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಸರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳ ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ದೀಪಸ್ಯ ಪ್ರಕಾಶಃ ನ ಕೇವಲಂ ಭವತಂ ಗ್ರಹಂ ಉಜ್ವಾಲಯತು ಜೀವನಂ ಅಪಿ. That means may the light of Diya illuminate not just our home but also our life too, with guidance and expertise of CA Gururaj Acharya and other 2 panelists. Let our knowledge get illuminated, and I wish happy Deepavali for all the 7 branches, our fraternity. Last choices are our, this is the pandemic situation. Even though there is a lockdown, we are never down, because we are doing so many programs. We should always proudly say that even though there is a lockdown, we were never down. We are always ahead of many other professions. But last choices are our will, consequences are his will. His will always prevail upon our will. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Nayak, sir. A very inspiring, meaningful, beautiful introduction of the speakers for the day's program. Now, without taking much time, I'd like to hand over the proceedings to CAK Gururaj.
Thank you, Vinod. Thank you so much, Anurag sir, who is my guru. It's a great honor. In fact, Nayak was telling ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾಕೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಹಬ್ಬದ ದಿನ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಬಹುಶಃ ನನಗನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಹಬ್ಬದ ದಿನ ಪಟಾಕಿ ಹಚ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಂತೂ ಯಡಿಯೂರಪ್ಪ ಅವ್ರು ಬಿಡ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಮಾತಿನ ಪಟಾಕಿಯಿಂದನೇ ಹಬ್ಬವನ್ನು ಆಚರಿಸೋಣ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಹುಶಃ ಪನ್ನರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಹಬ್ಬದ ದಿನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕೆಲವರು ಒಳ್ಳೇದು, ಕೆಲವರು ಕೆಟ್ಟದು. ಬಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಗೀತಾ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ I fully agree. Anything which is invested on this day will multiply manifold. Definitely, investment in knowledge is one investment which will definitely not get depreciated or impaired. It will only get appreciated over a period of time. Geeta ಅವರು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಅಂಡ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ವರ್ಡ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಐ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ ದಟ್ ಆಸ್ learning and development. I mean, while in our field it is mostly to do learning and development. So L&D is our focus. And I also thank Geeta for bringing out that particular 57 years. Our calendar is ahead of the Gregorian calendar. That's one thing which I got to know today. Although I was always seeing that, but ನನಗೆ ಅದಷ್ಟು ಗಮನಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು. Having said that, Pannaraj sir is always my inspiration. He is my guru, he is my teacher. And today I am talking before him on reporting requirements on accounting standards, standards on auditing and ICDS. ಮೂರನ್ನು ಒಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡಿ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಪನ್ನರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ GS ಶಿವ ರುದ್ರಪ್ಪ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಹಣತೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಅದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಅದು ಹಣತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು ಇಫ್ ಯು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಲೈಫ್, in fact that is what is hanate. What the Kavi wanted to talk about is about the life itself. Although life comes and goes, in between what we do is more important anta heli. Adanna obru English nalli there was a statement called the dash anta heli. It is just called the dash. What is a life anta helidre? Life is just a dash. What, I mean, life is just a dash? Yes, it is a dash between 2 numbers. The 2 numbers, that is the date of birth and the date of death. So life is nothing but a dash between 2 numbers. How you lead that dash is all that. How you lead that dash is all that matters ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇವತ್ತು GS ಶಿವರುದ್ರಪ್ಪ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಕವಿತೆ ಪನ್ನರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ನನಗೆ ಕಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ಲ. I said, sir, you should read out this particular thing ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. So let's live a life and let's make the dash as memorable, as interesting and as useful as possible to many others. because he only lives who lives for others anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. So let's live our life for the betterment of many other people anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾ, I also thank Mr. S.S. Nayak. ನಾನು ನಾಯಕರು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ, he is a man with lot of energy. I mean, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ 3 ಗಂಟೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವ್ರು, ಅಷ್ಟು he's a man with lot of energy. That is what I think Nayak the speciality. And I always say that we are all coming as specialists in the program like this. But then our ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲೇ SS ಅಂತ ಇದೆ, SS ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸೂಪರ್ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ನಾಯಕ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. So he is a super specialist, always brings lot of energy, enthusiasm. And Mangaluru ಅವ್ರದೇ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಇದೆ. ಅದಲ್ಲದೆ he runs a program called Business Tonic, giving lot of benefit to not only the business communities. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳದೆ ಅವರು ಗ್ರಾಹಕರೇ ಉದ್ಯಮಿಗಳೇ ಗ್ರಾಹಕರೇ ಇವ್ರು 3 ಟಾನಿಕ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಇದು ಗ್ರಾಹಕರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಉದ್ಯಮಿಗಳು ಮತ್ತೆ ಉದ್ಯಮಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ನಮ್ಮಂತ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಟಾನಿಕ್ ಕೊಡುವಂತ ಒಂದು, ಇದು ಟಾನಿಕ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಅಮೃತವೇ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಪ್ರತಿ ಭಾನುವಾರ 10 ರಿಂದ 11:30ವರೆಗೆ ಅವರೊಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ನಮ್ಮ ಕುಡ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಟಿವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಸೊ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಟು ದ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನಾಯಕ್ ಇಸ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ. And I have today with me 2 interesting panelists. I should say Nataraj, who is a life coach, and also Mr. K.A. Pai. I mean, he is now just on the screen, not visible on the screen. Just like he is not visible, his knowledge is not visible to the state of Karnataka. He's a man of tremendous knowledge. Our on the questions nanige yavagana kelta idre practical questions, it will be like now he came on screen for a second. And I mean, Pai, please try to switch on your video. It would be nice to see you. Our on the questions ನನಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ it will be like CA final questions. ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ questions ನನಗೆ actually practical questions ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂಥರ CPT ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಥವಾ ಇಂಟರ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಪೈ ಅವರು ಅನಂತ್ ನಾರಾಯಣ್ ಪೈ ಅವರು ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಸೋ ನೈಸ್ ಟು ಸಿ ಯು ಅನಂತ್ ನಾರಾಯಣ್ ಪೈ. ಅವರ ನೋಡಿ, ಅವ್ರು ಅನಂತ್ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಪೈ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅವರು ಸೂರ್ಯನಾರಾಯಣ ಪೈ. ಅವ್ರ ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಫ್ಲಾಶ್ ಇದೆ. That looks like Surya Narayana thara ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. So with this I will begin my topic specifically. Reporting requirements under accounting I will talk. I will ask Anant Narayan Pai to talk about issues in auditing. Nataraj will spend a few time in raising issues, and Nataraj in specific request ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಇವತ್ತು any questions which come on the chat box, please at the appropriate time you can stop me, or when I ask what are the various questions that have been posed, you can ask those questions and we can interact on those issues. And I request all the Sapta Rishis. I know there are Sapta Rishis here, the chairman of all the 7 wonderful branches led by Funnur Swami of Ballari, my own hometown where I grew, and I mean, where I was born. Of course, Pradeep is here, Udupi. Although Subhash from Hubli and Mysore, Vasudev, I am seeing him on the screen, and from Kalburgi and also Belgaum branches. I thank them for all being together. Sapta Rishis of the state, except Bengaluru branch. ನಮಗಂತೂ ಇವತ್ತು ಒಂಥರ ಉಡುಪಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಠದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಪ್ತೋತ್ಸವ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಸೊ ಸಪ್ತೋತ್ಸವ ಮಾಡಿದಷ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನನಗೆ. ಸೊ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್. So I request all the participants to post their questions, if at all, as and when I am putting up some issues. I want you to put up the questions on the Q&A box, which Mr. Nataraj will raise at the appropriate time. So ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ದು ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, I will not be giving with a PowerPoint presentation. I will be actually, ಪನ್ನರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ನನಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ದಿನದಿಂದ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಗಿವ್ ಔಟ್ ಲೈವ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆಫೀಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಹೇಗೆ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅದೊಂದು ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಝಲಕ್ ತೋರಿಸಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು, I am actually presenting live reports, a model report rather, a model report. On the report ನಾವು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು we will discuss what are the do's and don'ts on the reporting matters. One thing to be noted, ನಾವು ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ನನಗೆ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಹ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, I used to take up Infosys, ರಿಲಯನ್ಸ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಲಿಮಿಟೆಡ್, ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಹೇಗಿದೆ, ಅವರು ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಜರ್ಸ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ, ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ 3-4 ಕಂಪನೀಸ್, TCS, Infosys ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ದಿನ ಆ ತರ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ they are under the broad gauge and all of us are under the meter gauge. When I say broad gauge, they are all following Ind AS and we are following, most of us, most of the SMPs which Pannaraj sir wanted me to cover today, small and medium practitioners ge ಬೇಕಾಗುವಂತ, I cannot copy anything from Infosys. The best part about the reporting requirement is one is the accounting, one is the financial statement, one is the audit report. When it comes to audit report, both me and Infosys, I mean, when I say me, the small, all of you, most of us will be having small and medium practice, wherein we'll be having a company which is doing 100 crores, 200 crores, 300 crores turnover. Ind AS is applicable for every entity whose net worth is more than 250 crores. Net worth is more than 250 crores or a listed entity. Adanna now broad gauge anta helidre, majority of us will be meter gauge. That means we will be having less than 250 crores of net worth or not listed entities. Companies, when I am talking about, first of all, I am talking about companies, then I will go to non-corporates. So alli now meter gauge anta helidre, smaller companies now auditors ಆಗಿರುವಾಗ, I cannot copy the financial statements of the large entities. And when it comes to audit reports, let me tell you, both of us, whether it is a broad gauge or a meter gauge, both of us will have to prepare the same audit report, which is SA 700, 705, 706, 720, 701. These are all the various standards on auditing, which both of us have to follow same. Reporting requirement will also be the same. The only difference between large entities and small entities when it comes to audit reports is the reporting of key audit matters. Reporting of key audit matters. Nataraj avare, ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, whether key audit matters is applicable to an SMP.
Sir, it is not applicable unless we fit into those two clauses which you have told.
Yes, let me clarify. My question was whether there will be a key audit matter in a small and medium practitioner.
Yes, sir.
Yes. The key, in a small and medium office or a small and medium company also, there will be a key audit matter. ಎಷ್ಟೇ ನಮ್ದು audit ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರೂ ಒಂದೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, how to do the taxation, whether to reflect deferred taxes, yes or no, whether how to recognize the revenue, what will be the inventory, how do I measure the proportionate completion method ನಲ್ಲಿ ರೆವೆನ್ಯೂ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾನು ರೆಕಗ್ನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ನನಗೆ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಕಂಪನೀಸ್ ನಲ್ಲೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So my question was whether a key audit matter will be there in a small company ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, the answer is yes.
Yes.
The reporting of a key audit matter is a must in a listed entity, and for all others it is an option. For all others, it is an option. Now, last week when I spoke about the same subject in Bengaluru, Vijay Kumar was the chief guest. Today I was aware that CA Prasanna Kumar from Visakhapatnam was supposed to be the chief guest. Our Pannaraj alias Gokak, ಅವರು ಒಂದ್ ವಿಷಯ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ರು, ಇವತ್ತು ಬರೇ ಕನ್ನಡದವ್ರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವ್ರು ಅದನ್ನ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬರೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ರು. ಅದೊಂದು ವಿಷಯ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗಿರ್ಲಿ. The point I am trying to say is the reporting requirement, key audit matter, MP Vijay Kumar ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, even for a small and medium company, try to give a couple of key audit matters even in your audit report. Although it is an option, you try to give it so that the value of your report gets enhanced. It's an option. So let me just tell you, otherwise the audit report between a large entity and a small entity will be the same. The format, let me tell you, the format will be the same. When it comes to qualification or emphasis of matter or another matter paragraph, that has to be customized to the entity specific. ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಆಮೇಲೆ ತಗೊಳ್ತೇನೆ. First, let me finish off the reporting requirement under the accounting.
Gururaj sir, let me interrupt you here.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to, when something is optional, do we really feel that by giving it, if you disclose it, and we end into problem by a wrong disclosure?
Definitely. See, when something is given as an option, the option has to be properly exercised. You get an option, so therefore I will make a mistake. even an optional thing which you choose, if you make a mistake, then I would prefer you not to take that option at all. I mean, when you're taking that option, be very careful to take that. Bahusha, Nataraj right heldage, if most of us do not like to take that option because option ತಗೊಂಡು ನಾನು mistake ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ತಗೊಳ್ಳದೆ ಇರುವಂತಹ chances ಜಾಸ್ತಿ. But otherwise, if you are wanting to give, but nothing stops you from giving it. Talking about accounting nalli there are two aspects. One is the presentation, the other one is the disclosure. Now, what is the fundamental difference between presentation and disclosure? Now, schedule 3, now format anta helteve, balance sheet, profit and loss account, format cannot be changed. It cannot be changed. What cannot be changed is a presentation. And if the standards or the requirement of the statute wants us to present it in a particular way, I do not have an option but to present it in the exact same way. Let me just tell you, I have to, first of all, in the liability side, first of all, I have equities and liabilities on the top and the assets at the bottom. Can I interchange them? The answer is no. In fact, very interestingly, in the AS nalli, assets come on the top and liabilities come on the equities and liability come on the bottom. If you look at, maybe optically in India, we wanted to make the distinction. If equities come on the top, that is regular accounting standards or meter gauge I call. If the assets come on the top, then it is Ind AS. Having said that, Ind AS na side gittu, I will come back to our regular accounting standards. Now, the presentation nalli, how you give is equities first, non-current liabilities, amel current liabilities. Ade asset side nalli, non-current assets and current assets. So what we follow the presentation, it has to be moved from the senior most item in the balance sheet to the immediate payable item or the immediate receivable item. That means we follow the principle of liquidity. That means yaudana nanu immediately payment ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಥವಾ yaudana nanu immediately receive ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅದು ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. I mean, if you see equities will be on the top. ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಬಹುಶಃ ಕಂಪನಿ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಆಗೋವರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ equity. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾನ್ ಕರೆಂಟ್ liability, term loans, debentures. Then comes current assets or current liability. You know, that which within current liability and within non-current liability, we have to follow the same procedure. Let us say there is a debenture, you know, or a term loan. Let us say debentures which has to be repaid in 2030, and then there is a debenture which has to be repaid in 2025. ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಹೇಗೆ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾಡಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. First debenture repayable in 2030 and then debenture repayable in 2025. Ade non mechanism I have to follow. Even when it comes to asset side, we have the non-current assets and current assets. If you see non-current asset, I will have property, plant and equipment. Within property, plant and equipment, I cannot give furniture at the top and bikabiti I cannot give. I will have to start with the land. Then I have to give buildings. Then I have to give plant and machinery, furniture and fixtures, computers. So ade ಒಂದು range ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಬೇಕು. So from the one which is there for me for a longer period to the one which will be with me for a shorter period. ade ಒಂದು mechanism ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಬೇಕು. This is called presentation. I cannot interchange the presentation. I don't have the option to change the presentation. What happens if I change anta helidre? It will amount to a technical mistake. Similarly, when they say in the profit and loss account, you start with revenue, show your expenditures, and then you show your profit before taxes, profit after taxes. You will have to show it in the same manner. You don't have an option to change the presentation format. So in short, presentation is a format. Format as far as companies are concerned, thankfully, the format is given in Division 1 of Schedule 3. In fact, Schedule 3 of the Companies Act gives me 3 divisions: Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. Division 1 is to be followed by most of us who are following the company's accounting standard rules. Division 2 is to be followed by those companies which follow Ind AS. And Division 3 is to be followed by those companies which are in the nature of non-banking finance companies. So, more divisions. So, you will have to choose the appropriate division and follow that particular format for the purpose of presentation. Now, let us come to disclosure. What is disclosure? Disclosure comes out of the Schedule 3, comes out of Schedule 2, that is depreciation schedule of the Companies Act. It comes out of accounting standards. It comes out of other statutes. Let us say MSMEDA Act. MSMEDA Act tells me you have to give certain disclosures with respect to MSME enterprises or MSME suppliers. So it is coming altogether, not from Companies Act, not from accounting standards, but an altogether different statute. Likewise, Reserve Bank of India may ask me to give certain disclosures in my financial statements. So what are disclosures? Disclosures are that which should be there in your financial statement, but the placement of that is not told by the statute or by the requirement. That means mostly it could be either in the balance sheet or in the notes to accounts or in the accounting policy. That means ಎಲ್ಲಾದರೂ ಇರಬಹುದು. So disclosures you have to give it, but where to give it has not been specified. But as long as it is there in the financial statement, it is sufficient. Whereas a presentation is a matter of placement. So presentation anta elli heluvaga it has to be placed in that particular place. So that is how you have to look into the aspect. So let me now go in for sharing my presentation. Nataraj, am I audible? I think I am frozen.
Yes, you're audible, sir.
I'm audible, okay. So let me, with this introduction, so let me always tell you, we have something called the notes to. So today I am not focusing on presentation, because presentation, I mean, when in a seminar like this, in a conference like this, everything cannot be taken up. So what I have chosen today is to take up the disclosure aspect. Because presentation, again, there is not much of a choice. Just like in audit report, you don't have a big choice. You'll have to select that particular audit report. What has to be customized is the qualification if you want to qualify. Otherwise, the format is the same, thankfully. The presentation also of the balance sheet and profit and loss account is not a choice. You just have to copy and paste. And our guidance note on disclosures and presentation with respect to Schedule 3 tells certain things which we'll have to look into. But today my focus will be, when I'm talking about model report, what Panaraj sir wanted me to talk about is how a model notes to accounts should look like, because that would differ from company to company. And as Mr. Chandrakant, the very knowledgeable person from Bengaluru, wanted me to convey this, that in the company, between the years it can be different. ಒಂದೇ ಕಂಪನಿಗೆ ಸೇಮ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಕಾಪಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಪೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಪ್ರತಿ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪನಿಯಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಂಪನಿಗೆ ಡಿಫರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಈ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಜರ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಒಂದು ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಡಿಫರ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಯು ಇಸ್ ದ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ಲೋಜರ್ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಕಂಪನೀಸ್, ಫಾರ್ ದ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಯರ್ 1920. Okay. Mostly it will be the same, but anything which is getting added between the year, additional disclosures required or no more required, has to be deleted and things like that. So let me now put up my model presentation, which I am putting up on the screen. Nataraj, ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ?
ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
Yeah. So this is the model explanatory notes. I'm sharing something which we use in our office. Which of course I am giving it for the benefit of all of you, and I will also send it to the chairman Ballari branch, which he can host it on the website so that everybody can use. So when we are using this particular model report, what I tell my office also is one thing. Whatever is given in blue, please note, I mean, there are certain color combinations which I have used in this particular presentation. If something is in blue, then that is an option. You'll have to choose. For example, let me just come straight to one of the options which I would like to say, inventories. When I talk about inventories, the accounting policy is what I am talking about. The accounting standards wants me to disclose accounting policies and give certain additional disclosures. Both these things are different. For example, when they talk deferred taxes, I will have to give an accounting policy with respect to income. Then I will have to give what are all the components of deferred tax assets and deferred tax liability. So when I'm talking about the components, these accounting policy and components cannot be mixed. While you can say A is accounting policy with respect to income tax and B is additional disclosure with respect to income tax, you can do that. Some of the companies, if you see Infosys balance sheet, they are finished off like that. What I prefer is to complete the accounting policies for all standards and all requirements in one place, and then come out with the additional disclosures required specifically for a particular standard. But before I come to that, let me tell you, I said I'm using a blue font here. Inventory, and if something is shaded in yellow, it is only for my today's point of view. Today when I'm talking, I wanted to say that there could be an element of mistake that could happen, so watch out on account of that particular mistake. For example, inventories are valued at lower of cost and net realizable value. Some of them say inventories are valued at lower of cost and net market value, or market price. But normally, what mistakes can happen? What the institutionally, Nayakaru, Nanna biodata oduvaga, they say that I am a member of the Financial Reporting Review Group. So what this Financial Reporting Review Board of the Institute does is it picks up the balance sheets, either suo moto or based on complaints, and finds out if there are any technical mistakes in the balance sheet. So they have now summarized what are all the possible mistakes, commonly committed mistakes. Now the identify madi, they have come out with a compendium of frequently committed mistakes from the Financial Reporting Review Board. But today I'm telling that on inventories, our institute has found out that many of them, they use the word inventories are valued at lower of cost and market price. If you use the market price, it is wrong. How does it make a difference? Suppose I am selling an inventory at 100 rupees, that is the market price. What is net realizable value? 100 rupees na nan sell madbekant hedre, I will have to incur another 10 rupees cost. Maybe in terms of additional expenses or commission or whatever. Therefore, it may come down to only 90 rupees. The cost is, let us say, 80 rupees. So I have to compare 80 and 90, whichever is lower, not 80 and 100. Let us say the cost is 85 or let us say 95. The cost is 95 and I'm comparing it with 100, then it makes a mistake. If it is realizable value is only 90, then I should take 90 as against the cost of 95. So net realizable value is different from market price. So that is why I highlighted lower of cost and net realizable value. Adhe tara irbeku. It cannot be market price. So this is how I am just introducing the manner in which I am presenting. The cost has been measured on. Further, the accounting standards requirement is not only to say this accounting policy. In fact, we don't have a choice for this accounting policy. It has to be cost and net realizable value, lower of cost and net realizable value. That is not an option. What is an option? With respect to cost, I can either follow the, it's called the specific identification method. In fact, that is one of the method which is told there, specific identification method, failing which you can follow either the FIFO method or the weighted average method, FIFO method or the weighted average method. Now you can follow both. Maybe you can follow FIFO for raw material and work in progress. For finished goods, I am following weighted average. Possible. For the same class or the same type of inventory, you can follow different methods. But for raw material, you cannot say I am following FIFO, and for some raw material, I am following weighted average. Not possible. And you cannot just give like this. The cost has been measured on FIFO bar weighted average basis and includes cost of purchase. You'll have to now choose. I mean, in our office, we said that FIFO bar weighted average. You find out what method the company is following. That has to be given there. So finally, it will look like the cost has been measured on FIFO basis and includes the cost of purchase, cost of conversion, and other costs incurred in bringing them to their present location and condition. So if something is given like this in blue, then that means it is an option. You'll have to strike out. So that is how in the top I said, if applicable. You're able to see that, Nataraj?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If applicable. That means whatever is applicable, that you will have to bring in there. So let me now talk about this particular entire model. Explanatory notes forming part of the financial statements. Why do I say it is forming part of the financial statements? Because if you see the definition of financial statements has been defined in the Companies Act. Include, you know what does it include, Nataraj?
No, sir.
Balance sheet, statement of profit and loss account, cash flow statement, statement of changes in equity if applicable, statement of changes in equity if applicable, and it is applicable only to Ind AS. And fifth one is other explanatory notes. Other explanatory notes.
So these are the mandatory ones.
Yes, these are you may say 4+1 for Ind AS, 3+1 for all companies, 2+1 for large companies. Let me tell you, cash flow statement, which I just now told you, balance sheet, profit and loss account, cash flow statement is an option for small and medium companies. So I will tell what is a small company and tell what are the various options available to them. Otherwise, since I'm talking for small and medium practitioners, I presume that if you are doing a small and medium company audit, small and medium company in simple terms, if their turnover is less than 50 crores or their borrowing is less than 10 crores, any one of them breaching, if their turnover is more than 50 crores or their borrowing is more than 10 crores, then it will become a large company. If it is less than 50 crores turnover and their borrowing is less than 10 crores at any given point of time, and they're not listed and they're not holding subsidiary associates of such a company, then they're considered to be small and medium company. As a small and medium company, cash flow statement need not be given. Otherwise, you will have to give these four now, which is that balance sheet, profit and loss account, cash flow statement, and other explanatory notes. So, other explanatory notes forming part of the financial statements. And to be very important, they should form part of the financial statements. Now, you audit report to balance sheet, profit and loss account, if they don't attach that, then it will not be complete. The complete financial statement along with the explanatory note. So the next point, then I have given these explanatory notes under two different headings. Significant accounting policy. If you see that, first I will cover significant accounting policy. Then under point number 2, I will say other disclosures. Other disclosures. So first is significant accounting policy. I have highlighted the word significant here with the idea that a company should have accounting policy for every item of accounting. Every item of accounting. But what needs to be disclosed? What needs to be disclosed in the notes to accounts is only significant accounting policy. Who tells me this? Accounting Standard 1. Accounting Standard 1 deals with accounting policy, disclosure of accounting policies. The first point which it tells in Accounting Standard 1 is a company shall disclose all its significant accounting policy. What is significant has not been defined. It is very, subjective. When one may say whatever is material has to be disclosed. Is there a difference between significant and material? I don't see a significant difference between them. Having said that, whatever in the judgment of the company, as supported by the judgment of the auditor, if he feels that it is significant, he has to disclose. So significant accounting policies. So all accounting policies should not be disclosed. Let me tell you what could be the mistakes that could come out.
Sir, I have one doubt here before you proceed.
Yes.
Our independent auditor's report begins with the wording under the opinion. We have audited the financial statements of so and so limited, which comprise the balance sheet as of 31st March 2020, the statement of P&L account, statement of changes in equity, summary of statement of cash flows, and notes to financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies.
Sure.
Since the word used is we have audited the financial statements and it is read in the same, it's a continuous paragraph. So all that we state here under significant accounting policies, it means we have audited, we have gone through, and that is why we are giving it here.
Perfect.
Okay.
But one very important thing, we have audited the financial statements or the statement of profit and loss. In a small and medium company, if you don't have a cash flow statement
That will not be there.
Then you should delete that.
Yeah,
What is not there has to be deleted from your audit report.
Yes, yes.
Noted.
Thank you.
Now, what could be the mistake? What could be the mistake? Sometimes, let us say there is no interest at all. When the interest income illa, rental income illa, but companies have given accounting policy disclosures on interest income and rental income. Artha aita, Natarajare?
Illa, sir. Can you come back again?
New financial statements go there, interest income illa.
Okay.
Only sold goods. Only sold goods. Only the company's profit and loss account, sale of goods ಇದೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು let us say 7.5 ಕೋಟಿ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಇದೆ 7.5 ಕೋಟಿ. But disclosures ಬಂದ್ರೆ it is saying goods have been sale of goods have been recognized when significant risk and rewards in the goods have got transferred basis. And interest income is recognized on time proportion basis. Dividends have been recognized when the company has the right to receive dividends.
That will be a fallacy.
A company has disclosed a matter which is not at all present there. I am telling not present.
Not at all present.
If it is not significant, you don't have to disclose. So our institute says that by giving such a disclosure in your financial statement, you are actually misleading the reader.
Very true. True, sir. Because as a reader, I may come into a conclusion that somehow it is not appearing in the mainstream.
Maybe or ತೋರಿಸ್ಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ.
Yes.
We'll have to make a connection between what is given. So first of all, what is not there in the financial statement, although the company may have an accounting policy. We say on the board approved policy for all possible accounting entries na account ikonbidi. But you disclose only that from the board approved policy in your financial statements, only those which are prevailing in your financial statements. And within that, what is significant?
Okay.
Within that, what is significant? That is what I wanted to say. Basis of preparation of financial statement. This is very important. I'll have to give what is the basis on which the financial statements have been prepared. The financial statements are prepared in accordance with the Indian generally accepted accounting principles, popularly called IGAP. That is what it is. People who are following Ind AS will say in accordance with the Indian accounting standards. That means Ind AS prakara madidivi. Under the historical cost convention, except in case of assets for which provision for impairment is made and revaluation is carried out. Idana nanu avagale helidage ee blue only if you have impairment or if you have done any revaluation, and only then you will use that. Otherwise you don't use this on an accrual basis. Under the historical cost convention on an accrual basis. GAAP comprises mandatory accounting standards as specified under section 133 of the Companies Act 2013. Why did I highlight this accounting standards as specified under 133 of the Companies Act 2013? The mistakes that can come out is GAAP comprises mandatory accounting standards as specified by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India anta helbidtare companies. Unfortunately, accounting standards are prepared by the institute but notified under the company's accounting standard rules in section 133 of the Companies Act. In a company, if you say accounting standards of ICAI, then it is a technical mistake.
Yes, sir.
You cannot say it is of the institute. That the companies should say as specified under 133 of the Companies Act. Non-corporates, when we talk about non-corporates, they should say accounting standards as specified by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. For non-corporates, I should say that. And for companies, I have to say as specified under section 133 of the Companies Act 2013. Read Rule 7 of the Companies Act, Companies Accounts Rules 2014. What does this Rule 7 say? Very interestingly, where is the Companies Accounting Standard Rules in 2006 ಅಲ್ಲಿ? Company Accounting Standard Rules. ಈಗ ನಮ್ದು ಈ book ನಾನು ಈಗ ಓದ್ತಿರೋದು Companies Accounting Standard Rules. If you see this book, you know the Companies Accounting Standard Rules 2006, but 2013. Companies Act is 2013. What the Companies Act 2013 says is, under Rule 7 of this accounts rules, it says till such time new accounting standard rules. Natarajara mute ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ನಾಯಿ ಬೊಗಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. Okay. See, the point I'm saying is the companies this particular rule 7 says, till such time the new accounting standards are done under the Companies Act 2013, you use this Companies Accounting Standard Rules 2006. That is why we have to say read with Rule 7 of the Companies Accounts Rules 2014. Accounting policies have been consistently applied except where newly issued accounting standards is initially adopted or a revision to an accounting standard requires a change in the accounting policy hitherto in use. So this is what it is. Then principle of consolidation. In a small and medium company, maybe you may not have a subsidiary or an associate, but you may be a small and medium company. But if you have a subsidiary or an associate, then you shall consolidate. You shall consolidate. So principles of consolidation. So today I am not getting into the details of consolidation because I presume that most of the companies will not have. But this model shows that if it is there, you'll have to give these wordings. Use of estimates. I mean, we just have to say that while we prepare, estimation is the underlying thing in accounting. So many things cannot be, see, for example, provisions. Now, so many things, namike bill iralla. Bill idre, you don't have to estimate. But so many things will have to be taken into accounts without a bill based on estimate, including depreciation, useful life. So many things will be based on estimates. So underlying, what should I say, risk or otherwise is the use of estimates, which I am trying to tell to the reader of the financial statements. Inventories we have already seen. Cash flow statement. Now we are now telling cash flow statements are reported. Please, I also told you cash flow statement is not required for an SMC. SMC means small and medium companies, 50 crores turnover, 10 crores borrowings. So that is the general cutoff. If it is within that, then you don't have to prepare a cash flow statement. What you don't prepare, you don't have to give a significant accounting policy. But if you are preparing a cash flow statement, then you will have to give this. Cash flows are reported using the indirect method. In cash flow only, you can prepare it in two ways, direct method and indirect method. What is an indirect method? If you start, see, in cash flow, we have got three activities. I mean, in any business, we have three activities. So in a cash flow statement, as required under accounting standard 3, we measure the inflow cash and outflow cash under three specific headings: operating activity, investment activity, financing activity. I'm not getting into the details of it, but financing activity and investment activity, there is no change between direct method and indirect method. In the operating activity, I can arrive at the cash flows from operations, in two ways. The cash flow from operation, bottom up, I can go bottom up or top down. What I mean by bottom up is I start with profit after tax, add back depreciation, add back some write-offs which does not involve any cash, deduct certain things and arrive at the cash profit. Or I can go from sales minus purchases, making adjustments to working capital and arrive at the cash profit. So if I'm following the top-down approach, it is called the direct method. If I'm following the profit after tax, add back so many items and arriving at the cash profit, it is called indirect method. And in all companies, I have to follow indirect method only. Therefore, I have not given that as an option here. So cash flows are reported using the indirect method, bottom-up approach only, which is only for operating activity, whereby net profit before tax is adjusted for the effects of transaction of a non-cash nature and any deferrals or accruals of the past or future cash receipts or payments. The cash flows from operating, investing and financing activities of the company are segregated based on the available information. Cash comprises. Now, when we say in the after these three activities, we have opening cash and closing cash. And cash, we say cash and cash equivalent. So now we have to say, what does the cash comprise? Cash comprises cash on hand and demand deposit with banks. And then cash equivalents, we say cash and cash equivalents. So cash equivalents are short term. What is short term? With the original maturity of 3 months or less from the date of acquisition. Please concentrate on this word, original maturity of 3 months or less from the date of acquisition. I'll tell you a situation. Suppose I have a FD which is going to mature in April 2020, which is going to mature in April 2020, whether it will be a cash equivalent?
Sir, if the original is April 20, it will become, sir, because it is within 3 months from the date of acquisition, unless it has been further extended by a period of 90 days.
No, I'm saying that in April, I have taken it also, because when I signed the balance sheet, I know that I have encashed it. There,
Yes.
so I told you only when it is mature. Did I tell you when it started? You see this, April 2020.
Okay.
That's why I use the word original maturity.
Original maturity.
Now, if I said that this particular thing was taken in February and it matures in April, then you can say original maturity is 3 months. Suppose it was taken in April 19 and matures in April 20, then it is an FD with original maturity of more than 3 months.
So then, sir, should we conclude that if anything is maturing immediately after March, it is only relevant if original maturity date is concerned?
Yes, that is why I use the word cash and cash equivalents are short term.
Okay.
Cash and cash equivalent are short term with an original maturity of 3 months or less from the date of acquisition.
But sir, as a logic, I'm sorry, when we know that it is maturing and we are already, it is matured also in the month of April when I signed my balance sheet in July or in June. But in spite of that, we should not be showing it under that column.
You cannot show it under cash equivalent. You can,
even if it is an event occurring after the date of balance sheet.
You can show it under current assets.
Okay.
You can show it under current assets, but it is not a cash equivalent.
Okay. Right.
Because the definition of cash equivalent is with respect to the original maturity. That is why I said that. Okay. Highly liquid investments that are readily convertible into known amounts of cash and which are subject to insignificant risk of changes in value.
Gururaj sir, just a minute.
Yeah.
For all the members, please do put on the query in the chat box. As one of the panelists, I would like to say, because even such things, even I was taken off by the statement, because we think generally we end up telling when we sign a balance sheet that since it has matured in April, possibility that we may show it under this cash equivalent rate. So these small things do raise a query. Also insignificant we may feel as, because Gururaj sir is here to explain in clarity, and one thing I can very honestly put across about Gururaj sir is he uses absolute clarity on all the issues that we raised. So feel free, don't hesitate, even if you think that your query is absolutely may not be concerned or it may be silly, please raise it, sir. Nothing is silly when we are, because it is our report which finally matters. And here is Gururaj sir. See that every report is the best report. Thank you, sir.
As Nataraj rightly put it, questions can never be silly. At most, answers can be silly. Okay. Having said that, I also would like to say cash and cash equivalent in Thele. Now, if we are showing cash and cash equivalent in the cash flow statement as, let us say, 23 lakhs and 40,000 rupees, that should be visible in the balance sheet. 23 lakh 40,000 rupees. When cash balance 23 lakhs. Cash at bank 23 lakhs, cash in hand 46,000 rupees, and total should be there in the balance sheet. If it is, let us say, cash deposits 23 lakhs and cash in hand 46,000 rupees, total kotirlilla anta helidre, then that will be a technical mistake. I should not use the calculator to find out what is the sum total of cash and cash equivalent. So what the accounting standard says is cash and cash equivalent should be reconciled to the figure in the financial statement, which should be reconciled if it is not otherwise totaled in the financial statement. So that is the answer that I wanted to say. Next, 1.6. Events occurring after the balance sheet date. Assets and liability that provide additional evidence to assist the estimation of amounts relating to conditions existing at the balance sheet date, or that indicate that the fundamental accounting assumption of going concern is not appropriate or adjusted for events occurring after the balance sheet date. Now, this particular accounting standard 4 tells me that if the event has occurred subsequently, you need not, that there is a next year financial statement which will take care of that. But should you give an implication of that in the previous financial year? For example, the most important thing that we talk about here is proposed dividend. Munche, accounting standard 4 said, proposed dividend is always an adjusting event. Iga, The revised accounting standard 4 says proposed dividend is only a proposition by the board as on 31st of March. It gets crystallized in the AGM. So the liability with respect to proposed dividend will happen after the balance sheet date. So therefore, proposed dividend will not be a adjusting event. It will only be a disclosure. It will only be a disclosure. That is the first point. Second thing, they say that if there is some event which has happened subsequently, you don't even have to bother about it. Next year we'll take care of it. However, there are certain aspects which although happens subsequently, if it is of such a nature which will affect the going concern of the company, then you will have to report it this year itself, although it happens subsequently. You know, doddu fire aaytu, fire aagi company muchoganta situation bantu. These are all the examples that they gave. Let me use another thing. They said that a debtor is there in the balance sheet. Okay, and should I provide for bad debt in financial year 1920 or not? One of the situations that they're told is subsequently you have come to know that avan Diwali eddu hogidane. The party has gone bust. Should I provide for bad debts in the financial year 1920 or should I wait for the next year? Accounting standard says using the principle of prudence, you provide for that in the financial year, you write it off, not even provision, you write it off. In fact, one of the recent, let me give you a live example of one of the clubs which we are auditing. There, the Supreme Court has ordered that wealth tax will not be applicable for the clubs. Whereas we are carrying in the balance sheet a provision for wealth tax of 80 lakhs in the balance sheet. Now that particular Supreme Court decision came in the month of August. In the month of August, saying that we won, the club won. Now, we were the auditors for the club. Now the question was, should we consider these events occurring after the balance sheet date and write back the provision? Write back the provision.
Here, I think we should looking at the materiality and the date of judgment. I don't think, sir, we have to go back to 1920 and reverse the provision there.
So you will have to reverse the provision in 2021.
2021.
You have to reverse the provision in 2021. So, I mean, there are two views possible. I mean, originally we said, yes, we went with your view. But then looking very closely into the accounting standards, it says the provision is a best estimate after all. It's a best estimate and the balance sheet date. But the subsequent events with respect to judgment can be considered for a situation like this, and you can write back the provision. I mean, it is a very thin.
I have a question on this, sir. Again, see, if at all, like we had closed the audit, completed the audit in the month of on 31st of July.
Correct.
But because of some reason, I was out of town. I went out of town, and now with the restrictions of UDIN, I come back again after say 1 month's tour, and I come back in the month of August.
Yeah,
I had finalized the whole thing on 31st of July, but I sign on 31st of August. In the meantime, I get this particular Supreme Court judgment. Correct. So even in such circumstances, it becomes an event after the balance sheet date.
Yes,
because I have not signed.
See the day you sign the day it gets approved by the management or the board becomes the balance sheet.
Okay.
Even the auditor subsequently signs, that's a different issue. The management approve it becomes an approved financial statement. Then once the auditor signs, it becomes an audited financial statement.
Yes.
First tell the balance sheet date and the approving date. If you are finalized on July, finalizing does not have any meaning in the subject of audit.
Unless it is signed.
Yes, unless it is approved. Unless it is approved by the board. Approved by the board, and then it becomes a audited financial statement. So if you go to 8.2 of accounting standard 4, which I just now took out, it goes to say that you can, because the provision was not required. Provision is after all a best estimate. The subsequent event has gone to justify that you don't have to pay a wealth tax, and after all it is a Supreme Court. Therefore, the department cannot further challenge it anywhere else. So we can always write back the provision in 1920. So that's the answer to that.
Okay.
Next, revenue recognition. So revenue recognition is fairly simple. Revenue is recognized when significant risks and rewards of ownership of goods have passed on to the buyer. Revenue is inclusive of GST, and GST is charged to statement of profit and loss if that is what you are doing it, or revenue is exclusive of GST. That's why it is given in blue. Now, why I have given it in a small different color there in gray is to tell that there is a difference between this and ICDS. ICDS always wants us to be inclusive, whereas if you are following exclusive method, to that extent it will differ from ICDS. But in our ICDS, when we give in the 3CD report, it does not ask for any change in inventory. It only asks what is the increase in profit and decrease in profit on account of non-compliance of an account ICDS. So if you follow inclusive method or exclusive method, the profit is not going to change. The profit is not going to change. So therefore, in ICDS, although in accounting you may follow the exclusive method as required under accounting standard 2, for ICDS, there will be no impact on the increase or reduction in the profit. That's what I would like to say. So revenue from service related activity is recognized using the proportionate completion method or the completed contract method. Again, I have highlighted completed contract method in gray just to tell that for ICDS, completed contract method is not an option. You have to follow for services. If the service duration contract period is for more than 90 days, you shall follow proportionate completion method only. That means up to 90 days. Nanu February togondo April al mugisbidtene anta helidre, then it is less than 90 days contract period. I can follow the completed contract method. If the contract duration is for more than 90 days, ICDS wants me to follow proportionate completion method only. Next, commission income.
That means, sir, we need to disclose it in the tax audit report column there.
If you have followed completed contract method in accounting, then for ICDS purpose, you will have to find out what is the increase in profit if you have followed the proportionate completion method, and to that extent, you will have to offer it for income tax. In such a situation, we always say that even for accounting, you follow the proportionate completion method only. Because why the hell will you show more profit for income tax and less profit for accounting?
True.
The reverse is generally possible. No?
So it is more sense
and less profit for tax. But then when you're doing more profit for income tax, might as well change your accounting policy and follow it to say that proportionate completion method only I'm following for account.
So may I request you, sir, especially in cases where ICDS is mandatory, for all of us just to highlight that you follow in such cases, follow what ICDS says, so that you need not do duplication of working again.
Absolutely. So commission income is recognized as and when the terms of the contracts are fulfilled. Profit on sale of investments, lease rentals. Very interesting. Lease rentals are recognized ratably on a straight line basis over the lease term. Accounting standard 19. Accounting standard 19 talks about two types of leases: operating lease and financial lease. What is a finance lease? Now I am getting this asset from the lessor, where the risk and reward substantially gets transferred to me, then it is a finance lease. Then accounting standard says, although the asset legally is in the name of the lessor, the banker, NBFC, I am only the user of the asset. The risk and reward has got substantially transferred to me. So therefore, I will have to record it as my asset. That is finance lease. When it comes to operating lease,
may I please request the members?
No, you can see a Prasanna.
Prasanna Kumar, please mute yourself.
Can you mute yourself, Prasanna Kumar?
Yeah. So what is an operating lease? Normally, finance lease sheets nalli tumba kammi irodu, ivattin dina bari kammi irodu. Operating lease ellar hatru irutte. What is ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, 3 ವರ್ಷ ರೆಂಟ್. 3 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಂಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇಯರ್ ಐ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ 10 ಲಕ್ಷ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ, ಇಯರ್ 2 15 ಲಕ್ಷ, ಇಯರ್ 3 20 ಲಕ್ಷ. The rent for year 1, 15 lakhs is the rent for year 2, 20 lakhs is the rent for year 3. Now debit as a, if I am paying rent in the first year, how much rent am I paying? 10 lakhs I am paying. You know what accounting standard expects me to do? I will have to do it on a straight line basis over the lease term. That means I will have to do 10 lakhs plus 15 lakhs plus 20 lakhs. Yes, I thought 20, 35, 45, right? 45 lakhs is the total rent I pay in 3 years. Divided by 3. Divided by 3 in 3. Prasanna Kumar, CA Prasanna Kumar, request you to please move. Okay. So
Sir, once you complete this, please give me a minute's time. There's a query with respect to your earlier ICDS by one of the members.
Sure. So 45 lakhs is the total rent that I will pay in 3 years. Divided by 3 andre 15 lakhs. Divided by 3 is 15 lakhs. So I will have to debit to my profit and loss account every year 15 lakhs. Although I pay 10 lakhs in year 1, I will have to show rental 10 lakhs, to rent payable 10 lakhs. I mean 15 lakhs is my total rent debit to my profit and loss account. Although cash outflow will be 10 lakhs, my credit to the extent of 5 lakhs will be rent equalization reserve, 5 lakhs. So that is how it should be. That is the concept of straight line basis. Similarly, the lease rental income also has to be accounted on a straight line basis. Yes, please tell me about the question.
Yeah. So there's a query from one chartered accountant, Mr. Chandrakant Rao. He says 3CD is prepared by assessee and it chooses not to give inclusive method impact. Auditor only places a note in 3CB commenting that non-disclosure exists, but it is tax neutral. Please comment if this method is good to avoid being picked up case for scrutiny.
Yeah, I respect Chandrakant a lot. Nataraj, you may not know him. I know him very well. He is a very knowledgeable person from Bengaluru. And Chandrakant sir, let me tell you one thing. If by inclusive method or exclusive method, first of all, I have to see whether it is profit. I will show you the slide which says that it is profit neutral. Let me, since Chandrakant sir has asked this question, let me straight away go to you're able to see this slide?
Visible.
Yeah, you're able to see this slide, right? Let's show you how ICDS disclosure happens, since Chandrakant sir asked this question. Yes. If you see this particular clause 13 of form number 3CD, clause 13 of form 3CD, it does not ask you to give deviation from ICDS. Valuation of inventory, increase in profit, decrease in profit, net effect. I told you earlier, by following both the methods, inclusive method or exclusive method, your profit is actually not going to change. So valuation of inventory, if he says increase in profit is dash and decrease in profit is dash, there is no need for the auditor to actually give a qualification, because his inventory value may change, because your what value goes up in purchases will be reflected in the increased inventory, increased value of inventory. Okay, but the profit, let me give you an example. My purchases is 100, my closing stock is 100, exclusive method. Inclusive method, purchase is 118 because 18 rupees is the GST. 118 rupees will be my purchases. My closing stock also will be 118. So although between exclusive method inventory is 100, inclusive method inventory is 118. But when it comes to profit, it is tax neutral. It is tax neutral. So what I give here is, when I come to this inventory, valuation, I will say that inventories are valued at lower of cost and net realizable value. Just the same thing which I told there. The cost has been measured on FIFO or weighted average basis and includes cost of services. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು cost of services ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬರ್ತೀನಿ. Cost of conversion and other costs incurred in bringing them to their present location and condition. Also refer to clause 14b to form 3CD. The inventories have been valued using the standard costing technique as a measurement of cost, and it approximates the actual cost. Deviation in method of valuation of closing stock in respect of GST, in respect of GST from that specified under 145A. Stock is valued at cost of return, whichever is excluding taxes. Although it is going against 145A, which are subsequently recoverable, closing stock represents unsold purchases. Since purchases have been recorded exclusive of taxes, 100, that's what I told you. Cancellation through closing stock valuation is also done on the same basis. As such, there will be no impact on the P&L chargeable to tax. Further, this treatment is supported by undermentioned decisions that inclusive method of stock valuation is revenue neutral and Berger Paints and India Nippon Chemicals Limited case na quote madre. I think that should be sufficient. Chandrakant sir, I think he should be fine with this.
Yeah.
Okay. So shall I go with my regular presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're able to see this?
Well, sir.
Yeah. Now, this is what I told you. Interest is recognized using the time proportion method based on rates implicit in the transaction. Dividend income is recognized when the company's right to receive dividend is established. So you give this if these items are there and it is significant to your financial statements. Otherwise, you don't have to give. That is why it is in blue. Next, property, plant and equipment. Let me be very clear. Fixed assets is an old name. For now, we are calling it as property, plant and equipment. Nataraj, do you know why it is so? Why did fixed assets name got changed to property, plant and equipment?
No, sir. No, sir. To be very honest.
Okay, let me tell you. This is my mobile phone. In accounting, where do you use it? I mean, where do you categorize this? Will you categorize that as an expenditure or will you take it under fixed asset?
It will be expenditure, sir.
No. I mean, I'm going. I am going to use it for, let us say, 24 months.
Okay.
For you, maybe it is an expenditure. It is an expenditure. I know. In my office, I've got some junior partners who change their cell phone every 10 months, 8 months. Okay. So for them, it is for Chandrakant, for Nayak, and for me. I mean, also, I'm sure we use one even the mobile phone he has to sell and I don't have to buy. Na?
Yes.
So they say that the picture quality is good. Difference. Having said that, since I'm going to use it for 24 months, whether it is fixed asset or an expenditure.
It's a fixed asset.
No. Is it fixed?
No. The name itself suggests it is mobile.
Yeah, it is beautiful. So the point I'm trying to say is, when they use the word fixed asset, and when we used to put vehicles under fixed asset, the non-finance executives were thinking, how can vehicles be a fixed asset? Therefore, yes, Srinivas, please.
Many of the items, I think, which were not fixed at a particular place were forming part of the fixed assets.
So therefore, they said a word which is better representing that particular asset is now property with immovable property, plant and equipment for all other things, including furniture and fixtures, including computers. Everything comes under plant and equipment. Property means immovable property. Somebody did a research and therefore they changed from fixed asset to property, plant and this is also true even for non-corporate entities. Even for the accounting standards of ICAI, the accounting standard 10 is today called property, plant and equipment and not fixed assets. First of all. And Accounting standard 6. Accounting standard 6 deals with what?
Sir, are you indicating that when we prepare financials for year ending March 20 for
Yeah.
non-corporates, the wording
Yeah.
has to be property, plant and equipment?
Yes. Not only in 1920, from 1819 itself.
No, that has been done. Damage has been
Yes.
done. Right? So
Yes. At least that has been fixed now. You can't.
that has been fixed. We can't change.
So you will have to change it at least now.
Yeah.
If that balance sheet of whatever you have signed will come to me for review and you fix it aside, I will say it is a mistake, and you will get a letter from the institute saying that you have done a technical mistake, show cause why. I mean, we will not take it to disciplinary proceedings because it's only a technical mistake. But
Chatting. I request the host Ballari branch to mute everybody else.
yeah.
May I request the chairman or the host, the Ballari branch, to mute everybody else, because see, the flow gets cut. Please understand, my dear friends. The flow gets cut. And I think when there are almost more than 100 plus today on a recorded day.
Sure. I think, yeah. The point is, if the institute across this particular balance sheet where it is fixed, they think that they have used not only the terminology. We will say that not only the terminology has got changed, lot of contents within accounting standard 10 has got changed. If somebody is using the word fixed asset, they think that, I mean, I will definitely think that they have not considered the new accounting standard, rather they have considered the old accounting standard, and therefore not only the name, that the amounts that are indicated against that particular name also may be different from what it should have been, and therefore a show cause notice may come to you saying that why your case should not be, how do you prove that it is true and fair in spite of the non-compliance of this particular accounting standard. So that could be the implication. Now, property, plant and equipment.
So to will that be taken up by the ICAI as a misconduct also, professional misconduct?
No. Let me tell you, I'm just trying to scare everybody here. There are two types
It's just a clarification, sir.
There are two types of non-compliances. One is only a technical non-compliance. The second one is that which affects the true and fairness.
Okay.
If it is only a technical non-compliance, just a name change, or I told you, debentures 2030, debentures 2020, new 25 mail haki 30 kelag hakidre, it is a technical non-compliance. Okay, but
sir, ಯಾಕೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಈಗೇನ್ ಇವತ್ತು 7 ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಸಿಟಿ ಸೇರಿದೀವಿ, ನಮಗೆ UA ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾವ ಸರ್ when finalizing the accounts. Today it is, I think it's an open sub conference where we are sharing our practical problems when we face while finalizing, more so while reporting.
Sure.
So that's the reason.
Therefore, I'm telling the second type of non-compliance is that which affects the true and fair. That means the figure itself could have got changed. So that if it changes and if it is material, then it can be from FRRB, Financial Reporting Review Board, the matter will directly be referred to the disciplinary committee and a show notice will come from the disciplinary committee. So property, plant and equipment are tangible items. You have to define what is a property, plant and equipment. The company follows revaluation model as its accounting policy for the following class of property, plant and equipment, if at all. Otherwise, you don't have to give this. Only if you are following revaluation model, you will have to do this. But one of the requirement under the new AS 10 is, if you follow a revaluation model, you shall continue to revalue that asset periodically. The period has been not more than 3, 4, 5 years. That means if the fluctuation is very high, you shall revalue it every 3 years. If the fluctuation is low, then you shall revalue it at least once in 5 years. So that is what is told in yellow here. So you cannot revalue once and forget it. Old accounting standard, you could have revalued once and forget it forever. But now if you are following a revaluation model, then you will have to revalue it with sufficient regularity. Okay, that's the first thing. Then what is the basis for fair valuation? Based on market evidence, etc. You're going to say. The company follows cost model, and for all other classes, subsequent events, repairs and maintenance. Each part, now this is very interesting. Each part of an item of property, plant and equipment with a cost that is significant in relation to the total cost of the item is depreciated separately. Iden gottaita Natarajare? Accounting standard 10
Yes. Yes.
Schedule 2 talks about componentization. That means an asset has to be broken down into minor components if the figure between them is substantially material and the life between them is substantially material.
Okay.
Okay. So normally we use the word aircraft, but of course in SMP, but let us say land and building. Land and building cannot be one heading.
Yes.
Eternal life, and building has got limited life.
Limitedly.
So therefore, now land and building quoting and purchase madre, I will have to identify how much is land. I will have to break it down how much is land. Say 1 crore 75 lakhs is land, 1 crore 25 lakhs is building. And land na one component madi, building na one component madi. Let us within this 1.25 crores building, I have got civil works 1 crore, furniture and fixtures and interiors 25 lakhs. Civil works has got, let us say, 60 years life. Furniture and fixture has got 10-year life. Then I will have to break up my building into civil works and furniture and fixtures and depreciate for accounting purpose like this.
Okay.
Purpose you will go with your, of course, land you cannot depreciate. Building 1 crore 25 lakhs at whatever percentage is 10%
okay.
available for income tax purpose.
Yeah.
Now, next point, advance paid towards the acquisition of PPE outstanding at each balance sheet date is classified as capital advances under other non-current assets. It cannot, you cannot put advance towards property, plant and equipment under current assets, first of all. Other advance, all advances I will put it under loans and advances, current asset under tappa. Immediately that whatever you have given advance for computers, advance for construction of building will eventually become a non-current asset. So therefore this also has to be a non-current asset. So capital work in progress has to be kept under capital work in progress. Only difference between capital work in progress and property, plant and equipment is this is still not ready for use.
No. Yes.
Not ready for use, need not be depreciated. Need not be depreciated. That is the point. So an item of property, plant and equipment is significant. So that is all. Okay, more normal things. So depreciation and amortization. What is depreciation and amortization?
Including the revalued cost.
Now, which standard talks about depreciation now? Accounting standard 6 used to be talking about depreciation. Now, on a very in a very funny way, I say accounting standard 6 has got depreciated.
Okay.
Today, in the accounting literature, you don't have accounting standard 6. The reason being, accounting standard 10, property, plant and equipment today, which has 91 paragraphs, has subsumed the provisions of accounting standard 6 within. Just like if you go to accounting standard 26, which deals with intangible assets and amortization. Let us understand what is the difference between depreciation and amortization. Depreciation is for tangible fixed assets, that is property, plant and equipment. Amortization is for intangible assets. Intangible standard is AS 26, which also deals with amortization. Similarly, accounting standard 10 today deals both with the property, plant and equipment cost, how it should be how it should be depreciated, how it should be accounted and how it should be depreciated is also told in accounting standard 10 itself. So today you have accounting standard 6. Just like I always keep telling, after much research and development, our institute has removed accounting standard 8, which dealt with research and development. Provisions of accounting standard 8 has been absorbed in accounting standard 26, intangible assets. So intangible assets today deals with research and development also. Depreciation is very simple here. Property, plant, included revaluation assets are depreciated on straight line or returned on value method, whichever method you have been following. Except in the case of following assets, which are depreciated on useful lives estimated by the management. So normally today schedule 2 gives us what is the estimated life of the asset. You shall normally follow that. If you follow an estimated life different from what is told in schedule 2 of the Companies Act, then you should disclose what is the useful life deviation you have gone through, and you should also tell what is the basis on which you have taken this deviation. So for the class of assets based on internal technical assessment, I think Chandrakant sir's question last time was that, can an internal technical assessment be done in Bengaluru? I said, yes, it is possible as long as the technical assistant is competent. I mean, I as an auditor will look into his competency and then say that internal technical assistant has given this, or external management believes that the useful lives as given above is the best represents the period over which the assets are expected to be used. Hence, the useful life of these assets are different from the depreciation. Intangible assets. So intangible assets may note foreign currency transactions and translations. So this is very interesting. If at all you have foreign currencies, transaction and translation, you will have to account the day you do the transaction. The day you do the transaction, you shall account that the same day at the rate prevailing on that day. Let me just give you an example. I sold $1 worth of material to George Bush, and today's dollar value is 75 rupees. So I will immediately record George Bush 75 to sales 75 rupees. That is the transaction date. Then I will have, today is, let us say, 14th of November. If he is settling it by, let us say, before March, then it becomes a settlement date. No problem. If he settles at, let us say, 31st December, he settles me. And on that day, it is 74 rupees. On that date, it is 74 rupees. I will say cash account 74, loss on Forex 1, to Bush 75.
Okay.
Matter closes. If there is on the balance sheet date on 31st of March 2021, George Bush is still shown as a receivable, then any receivable and payables are called monetary items, monetary transactions. That has to be translated. That is what we say, it has to be restated on the balance sheet date. That means, let us say on 31st of March 2021, George Bush $1 is actually still receivable. On 31st of March, this figure has gone to 76 rupees. Then what I will have to do is, I will have to show George Bush, which is originally accounted, shown as 75 rupees. I will have to say George Bush 1 rupee to profit on translation of Forex 1 rupee. I have to offer this in the income and expenditure account as income, or profit and loss account as income, and offer it for tax also. So that is what is called foreign currency transactions and translation. You translate it on the balance sheet date, and on the settlement date, whatever prevails, if it goes to 74 or 78, you will either have a profit or loss. So this is the normal transaction which happens for all types of transaction, purchases, sales. The only exception for accounting, always it is like this. For ICDS, there is one exception. For income tax purpose, there is only one exception. Income tax also follows the same methodology for purchases and sales. However, income tax section, there is one section also, section 43. Section 43 explanation, one of the explanations. And ICDS today talks about if you are importing a fixed asset, and you have taken a loan for buying that particular fixed asset, then that restatement adjustment on the balance sheet date, I think, yeah, section 43A. Section 43A is the section which talks about this. Read with ICDS also, which follows in the same breath. It says that whatever was the balance sheet date on 31st, whatever is the balance sheet date on 31st of March with respect to the loan transaction, you shall not restate. So only transaction date and settlement date becomes the important things. The balance sheet date transaction will not be taken into account for foreign currency transactions. So that is what is told in 1.11. Government grants, not very important, but of course you can go through. Investments, long-term investments, excluding investment properties, are carried individually at cost, less provision for diminution other than temporary. Let me explain what it is and then read out this. Investments can be of three types: long-term investments, current investments, and investment property. What is long-term investments? Investments which are purchased for a period of holding more than 12 months. From what date? From the date of purchase. from the date of purchase, if you are expecting it to be held for more than 12 months, it becomes a long-term investment. All other, if it is meant for sale within 12 months, it becomes current investment. What is investment property? Investment property means investment in immobile property, meant as an investment. In fact, immobile property can be of three types. One is property, plant and equipment, which is meant for own use, held for more than 12 months. Property which is meant for sale, which will come as current stock, current assets, as inventories. So inventories which are meant for sale, becomes immobile property meant, which if I'm a builder, I'm constructing buildings, or I've purchased land and meant for sale, then it could come as inventories. If it is meant for use, it will come as property, plant and equipment. Not meant for use, not meant for sale will come under investment property. Is that clear, Nataraj?
Yes, sir.
So what could be this investment property? What is the purpose of this investment property? It could be for capital appreciation or for earning rentals. So in that context, it will come as investment property. Now the valuation of the investments depends on whether it is a long-term investment, current investment, or investment property. Now long-term investments are always measured at cost, unless there is a decline in the value of the investment for reasons other than temporary. Nataraj avar illi nanu question keltini. What do you mean by what is the opposite of permanent?
Temporary.
What is the opposite of temporary?
So permanent is obvious.
Yeah. Now, it's not as obvious as you say. For accounting standard purpose, the opposite of temporary is not temporary. The opposite of temporary is other than temporary. The opposite of temporary could be permanent and other than temporary. So temporary.
So they bring in one more definition here.
Yeah. The point is, if, let us say I bought a share for 100 rupees. I bought a share for 100 rupees and it is meant for long term. Today it is at 15 rupees. And it has been there 15 rupees for last 5 years. Standard says if you will have to account this 100 rupees at 15 rupees in your balance sheet and show this loss of 85 rupees. If this decline is for reasons other than temporary. Now you understand this. If the standard had used the word permanent, the company will always argue, sir, the reduction is not permanent. Permanency will be reached only when you actually sell it. So there is nothing called permanent. So therefore they have told permanency is an ultimate situation, but there could be another situation called other than temporary. But if it is 15 rupees, 25 rupees, 30 rupees, 75 rupees, and fluctuation aagta idre, then it is a temporary decline. You don't have to do anything. But if it is for reasons other than temporary, you will have to account it as in the year in which the other than temporary happens. So that is the difference that we are talking about. How do you value current investments? Current investments have to be valued at cost or fair value, whichever is lower. And investment properties always should be valued at cost. And cost less impairment and less depreciation. So that is how this accounting policy should be accordingly done. Employee benefit. Very, very detailed presentation on employee benefit. What could be the various employee benefits? I always keep telling this. Employee benefits can be of 4 types. Short term. It could be short-term employee benefits, long-term employee benefits, short-term employee benefits, long-term employee benefits. In short, long-term employee benefits can be of 3 types. If I am using this short-term, long-term. Long-term could be at the time of termination or post-employment. That means after his employment. And then in between, whatever is there is other long-term employee benefits. So what the standard wants is short-term employee benefits means what you're going to pay to the employee in the next 12 months has to be accounted. Other long-term employee benefits, mostly small and medium practitioners ge baruvantadu gratuity matra anta itkondi. The provident fund is always a defined contribution. I contribute, so risk and reward is that of the provident fund authority. They will only pay him the PF. Nammanta practitioners ge namage en barutte gratuity. Should it be accounted only when it is paid, or should it be accounted as and when it is as and when the employee is serving? Accounting standard 15 says on accrual basis you shall account for the gratuity liability. You shall account for the gratuity liability. And that is a defined benefit plan. So what is a defined benefit plan? In a defined benefit plan, the risk and reward with respect to future fluctuation is that on the company. So what I do is normally I take an LIC policy and he is taking up all the liability, then I will consider it as a defined contribution plan, and whatever I'm contributing, I will consider it. But please be very careful. Your obligation for the purpose of AS 15, if you are SMC, that is small and medium company, no problem. But if you are a non-SMC, you shall take an actuarial valuation. An actuarial valuation who gives you what is the liability and take that liability and put it on your balance sheet. So these are the disclosures that are required. I mean, I may not be able to get into the details because I've got other things to deal with.
So, excuse me, there's a small question which is put out earlier on the investment part. There's a question from Chartered A. Srinivas. It's asking, if I invest $10,000 in a Singapore company, what do I need to show in my balance sheet, and what disclosure should be given to RBI?
No, with respect to RBI is a separate question.
It's not related to this.
No. We'll have to see whether that particular $10,000 he has invested in a Singapore company as a strategic basis or on a portfolio basis. First thing, if it's on a portfolio basis, I mean portfolio, I am investing it through mutual funds or I am giving it their portfolio basis. Then no disclosure required with the RBI.
Okay.
However, if you are doing it strategically as a subsidiary company, I am investing through Reserve Bank of India by 31st of December every year, I have to give what is known as a APR. For APR only, I have to disclose it to the Reserve Bank of India. As far as the disclosure to Reserve Bank of India is concerned. As far as accounting is concerned, $10,000 is to be accounted in my balance sheet on the purchase date, and every year I'll have to then consider whether it is a monetary item or a non-monetary item. Investment is not a monetary item. Investment is not. So therefore, the restatement of inventory, now $10,000 ನಾನು 60 ರೂಪಾಯಿ purchase ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, it would stand 6 lakh rupees in my balance sheet. So this 6 lakhs will be there eternally in my balance sheet till it is sold. So that is the then when it is sold, then when I am selling it for, let us say $10,000, now if I am selling it for $12,000, to the extent of $2,000, it is a profit on account of sale. And if this $12,000 na 60 rupees, 80 rupees gadre, to the extent of 20 rupees per dollar, it becomes a forex gain. Forex gain is different from gain on sale of, I mean, the profit will come under two heading: profit, sale of investment, profit on fluctuation in forex. So this is the accounting has to happen.
The questioner A. Srinivas has expanded his question further, sir. He's telling that it is on strategic basis as a shareholder for 10% stake.
Yes, then you will have to declare it to Reserve Bank of India every year under the APR form within 31st of December every year.
Thank you, sir.
So borrowing costs that are attributable to the acquisition or construction of a qualifying asset are capitalized as a part of the cost of such asset till such time as the asset is ready for its intended use. So this is what we say qualifying asset. What is a qualifying asset? For accounting standards we use this. If I am constructing an asset which takes more than 12 months for construction, or it could be construction for sale or construction for use, then I have taken a loan for constructing this, then the interest on this loan should be capitalized to this particular asset. However, if this asset construction gets completed in 10 months, then the interest on this particular loan has to be debited to profit and loss account, although it is in relation to a fixed asset, which is quite the contrary in income tax. In income tax, in ICDS as well as section 3613, read with section 43, says that any interest which you have taken, any loan interest which you are on a loan which is for the purpose of an asset shall be capitalized until the asset is put to use. So that is the difference between accounting standard and ICDS. So leases, we already saw this, operating lease and finance lease. Earning per share, small companies, we don't have to talk about diluted earning per share, so I'm skipping this aspect. Basic EPS is computed by dividing the net profit after tax by the weighted average number of equity shares outstanding during the year. The diluted earning per share is calculated on the same basis as basic. See, normally what is diluted earning per share? Earning per share is numerator profit available to equity shares divided by total number of equity shares. Diluted earning per share alli, what if the existing potential equity shares get converted to share capital, say a share application money on 31st of March, or a convertible debentures on 31st of March, or a convertible preference shares on 31st of March. If that gets converted, what is its impact? How do you measure it is what is told in diluted earning per share. But the best part about diluted earning per share is this disclosure need not be given in the profit and loss account of a small and medium company. Then income taxes. Taxes on income for the current period is determined based on tax. I mean, there's a whatever you do is being disclosed here, so I may skip this part. We know what how to account for income tax. Impairment of assets. What is impairment of assets? What is the difference between depreciation and impairment? Nataraj, what is the difference between depreciation?
Loss more or less of permanent nature.
I will put it slightly different. Both are depreciations. Both are fall in the value of the asset. While depreciation is a systematic fall in the value of the asset, impairment is for reasons other than systematic. A sudden value of the asset is called impairment. So if I am measuring, let us say I bought a computer for 1 lakh and I am saying that the life of the computer is 3 years. So that means 33% I have to depreciate every year. That is using the straight line method, I depreciate 33%. Then once I'm computer computer. So can I still measure it on 3 years depreciation basis?
No.
I will have to account for the impairment. That is not depreciation. So the fall in the value of the asset, if it is systematic, normal, then it becomes depreciation. If it is abnormal, then it becomes impairment. So how do you know that there is an impairment? There could be external reasons and internal reasons until accounting standard 28. What is the internal reason? Internal. It is to me only. External reason. Today, the same computer what I bought for 1 lakh is available at 30,000 rupees. Nothing has happened to me. The value of the asset has fallen so much that it is available at 30,000 rupees. So therefore, there is an impairment for reasons other than temporary. I mean, for reasons other than internal, external reasons. So it could be reasons internal or external, like that they are given. And then you have to measure the carrying value of your asset with the net recoverable value. If the carrying value of the asset is, higher than the net recoverable value, you shall, carrying value under book value. Purpose book value. Book value is higher than the net recoverable value, then you shall provide for impairment.
So in line with your
how do you measure net recoverable value? Net recoverable value is the higher of value use and net selling price. You may use that and therefore derive certain benefits, or you may sell it and get the value. So of the two, you'll have to work out whichever is higher, that becomes the net recoverable value. And then you test it with your book value. If your book value is higher than the net recoverable value, then you provide for impairment. So you don't provide for impairment unless there is a reason for impairment. So that's the point I wanted to say. Yes, Nataraj.
Yeah. So that means it has to be specifically disclosed as such in the statement of P&L, and the disclosure made here of that which asset is impaired.
Yeah. See, let me tell you that this particular thing is an accounting policy. This is an accounting policy. The management periodically assesses using external and internal sources whether there is an indication that an asset bar cash generating unit may be impaired. Whether there is an asset or a cash generating unit. What is a cash generating unit? You must understand. ನನಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಫೀಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೊಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಏನು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಇನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಈ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ನನಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನನ್ನ ಆಫೀಸ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಹೋಲ್ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ this, let us say I have a Bengaluru branch and a Mangaluru branch and a Udupi branch. So each branch will be a value in use. I cannot test it for an asset in particular. So that is how cash generating unit is a larger part of the asset which generates revenue to the organization. That is how it is defined. Cash generating unit may be impaired. And impairment, so it has to be tested not at the individual asset level. If it is not, if the individual asset is not in itself a revenue earning asset, then you will have to go beyond and work out what is the smallest form of asset conglomeration which actually gives you a revenue model. So that is how you have to test. And impairment loss is recognized wherever the carrying value of an asset, that is book value, exceeds its recoverable amount. The recoverable amount is the higher of the asset's net selling price and value in use. How the value in use is to be done is also told in the standard. Today I'm not talking about that. Provisions and contingent liability. The provision is recognized if, as a result of past events, company has a present obligation. So we know what is a provision. Provision in Thadra, it is a liability using substantial degree of estimation. So that is what is told. What is a contingent liability? Possibility of occurrence is lower than the possibility, is possibly less than 50%. Then it becomes a contingent liability. A contingent liability only has to be disclosed. A provision has to be recognized in the books of accounts. Then there are a couple of other disclosures which you may give: insurance claims and how you are accounting for GST input credit, which is an option which you can give. So till now I have just covered notes aspect, accounting policy. Now we'll quickly go through the other explanatory information. What is this other explanatory information? Every company which is an SMC and has not disclosed diluted earning per share, not given cash flow statement, you have chosen the options. SMC can give all accounting standards if it wants to, but I would suggest not to. Segment reporting, diluted earning per share, cash flow statement, ಯಾವ್ದೇ ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟವರೆಗೆ ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕಬಲ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಕೊಡೋದೇ ಬೇಡ. ಅದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಪಕ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ I will have to give this particular disclosure. That is, the company is an SMC, small and medium company, less than 50 crores turnover, less than 10 crores borrowing, as defined in the general instruction in respect of accounting standards specified in 133 read with so and so. Accordingly, the company has complied with the accounting standards as applicable to an SMC company. So this is how I have to give. Okay. In case of manufacturing companies, Schedule 3 wants me to give what is the raw material, goods purchased, sales under broad heads. Trading companies, what are the purchases of goods traded, sale of goods. In case of companies rendering or supplying services, gross income. So these are all things which have to be given, nothing great about it. We'll have to work on that. Expenditure incurred in foreign currency, expenditure earnings in foreign currency, disclosure of share application money pending allotment, secured loans. I will have to give what are the various secured loans that I have taken, and what is the rate of interest, loans outstanding, tenure of loan, etc. Now, this is very interesting. Employee benefits, please be careful. Whether it is the ICAI standard or company's accounting standard rules, for every, for a company, it is very clear that you have to give the previous year comparative. You have to give your previous year comparative. This comparative should be given. You fixed assets ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀರಾ comparative ನಟರಾಜ್ ಅವರೇ? ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಟಿವ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಿ. ಏನಂತ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ? ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಟಿವ್ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಟಿವ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಹೌದಾ? ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಹೌದು. Plant and machinery, I have gross block. I have purchased plant and machinery of 75 lakhs during the year. Okay? And furniture and fixtures 25 lakhs and last year 10 lakhs ನಾನು purchase ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ. Now the point is totally I have purchased 1 crore. Now in Marti 1 crore and last year additions totally I have purchased, let us say 30 lakhs and ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. But what the standard expects is, what was the previous year plant and machinery purchased? What was the furniture and fixture last year purchased? Minute details the previous year kodbeku anta helutte. So therefore, what we are giving in our office is, we are reproducing the fixed asset schedule of the last year below, so that comparative is there. I hope that is clear. So I am giving the fixed asset schedule of this year, and I am giving the fixed asset schedule of last year. That is the comparative. If you just give the total of the fixed assets of the last year, then it is not a true comparative of every element in the fixed asset schedule. That is the first point I wanted to say. The second thing is, in employee benefits, accounting standard 15 says you have to give lot of disclosures. I mean, accounting standard 15 itself is a 3-hour session, but I'm trying to condense it today with respect to gratuity or whatever we are giving. The comparatives is not only for last year. Please, all of you go and look into para 120N. Now, balance sheet review first now comparative. Most of the companies would have given only 1 year comparative. What is required is current year and last 4 years comparative. This one exception. Okay, so please be aware of that. 19, 18, 17, 16 comparative for 20. So like that, lot of disclosures. These are additional disclosures required by accounting standard 15. Leave encashment, historical value, principal assumptions used in getting the. These are all given in your actuarial valuation report. Borrowing costs. You'll have to give which are the details of the borrowing cost capitalized, borrowing cost capitalized during the year, how much this year and last year, etc. Segment reporting. What is segment reporting? The business that is getting from different segments. Fortunately, this is not applicable to small and medium. Related party transactions. Related party transactions, no exception to small and medium companies also. Every company, even a non-company, has to disclose related party transactions. This is required by the statutes. Initially, they said that related party transactions will give a go by to the SMCs. But today, SMCs also have to give related party transactions. Related party transactions can be of two types. Related parties can be of two types. One where the control exists, one where the significant influence exists. If it is a case of control, mostly subsidiary holding relationship, then I will, whether or not there are transactions, I have to disclose the names like this. Related parties where control exists, relationship, name of the related party. Transaction but I have to give the name of who is my holding company, who is my subsidiary company. Related parties with whom transactions have taken place during the year. In this case, what are all the transactions which have taken place during the year has to be given under this particular heading: key management personnel, relatives of KMP, enterprises in which the KMP or relatives of the KMP exercise significant influence. We have to give. Now, should it be only sales? Let us say to all the KMPs, there were 2 KMPs, A and B. Should I say sales made to KMP 5 lakhs? Say A gets to B gets to. What the standard wants is, with individual party names, if the transactions are more than 10% of the total of related party transaction, the same type.
Yes.
Has to be given. The following table provides the total amount of transactions that have been entered into. It could be various type of transaction: purchases, expenses, sales, unsecured loans, balance at the year end, etc. Then obligation. This is another important thing which is required out of accounting standard 19. Leases, operating leases. Nan building tagondidini. 10 varshak nan building tagondidini. If I've taken a building on 10 years basis on a non-cancelable operating lease obligation, on a non-cancelable basis, I have taken this. Then I will have to give additional disclosures. That means non-cancelable operating lease obligation not later than 1 year. 1 year to 5 years, later than 5 years. That means what are all the various non-cancelable lease obligations I have to sell it in advance. That means even if I cancel this, I will have to print. So that is why the bankers and other people want to know what are the various type of transactions. So
during the COVID time, I think this will be affected, sir. Within
yes,
all of us will be reporting here.
Correct. It could be. So we'll have to give all these transactions, basic and diluted. You will have to give what is the numerator, what is the denominator. Deferred taxes, you will have to give your disclosures. So this is what I wanted to tell you, that these are additional disclosures, not to be confused with the accounting policy. These disclosures cannot be given below the accounting policy. That has to be given there, accounting policy separate, and then what are the components of my deferred tax assets or liability? It could be on account of 43B, on account of gratuity, on account of depreciation, etc. It could be various components which you'll have to tell here. The point to be noted here is deferred tax assets, when you are creating, you will have, it is an account of you have a loss and a depreciation loss or a business loss, and they are creating a deferred tax asset. You can recognize it only if you have got the word used is convincing evidence. You should have not only you should have a convincing evidence to take that particular asset into account. For all other things, say, let us say 43B, you may recognize that particular deferred tax asset if you are reasonably certain. If you are reasonably certain, you can recognize. For losses and depreciation, you should be virtually certain plus backed by convincing evidence. So then only you can recognize that particular asset. So that is the breakup. Corporate social responsibility, wherever it is applicable. Provisions, you'll have to give what is the opening balance, additions, utilization, reversals, closing balance. However, this disclosure is not applicable to SMCs. It's not applicable to SMCs. Proposed dividends, yes, if at all you are proposing a dividend, the only disclosure as I told you. Counter guarantees, capital commitments, foreign direct investments. I think my friend also asked this particular thing. Disclosure regarding foreign direct investments in India. So foreign direct, it can be an FDI or an ODI. What my friend talked about was ODI, overseas direct investments. He has invested in foreign companies. If I have received any money from a investor abroad, then it is called a foreign direct investments. Certain disclosures required as per Reserve Bank of.
Excuse me, sir. There's another question on the same topic.
Yeah.
I have invested in a Dubai company, $20,000.
Yeah.
Amounting to 49% of the stake.
Yeah.
The company has incurred loss and has wound up. What disclosure should I make?
Now, first of all, you will have to impair your investment. It was a long-term investment. So you will have to now, if you had invested, let us say 1 crore rupees. So, and today it has wound up, then it is as good as the total investment has gone for. If you are able to realize, let us say 5 lakh rupees, you will have to now impair your asset to the extent of 95 lakh rupees. Is impairment according to accounting standard 28, it is by virtue of accounting standard 13. So your 95 lakhs has to be written off. If you are not getting anything, then 1 crore has to be debited to your profit and loss account.
Now the disclosure.
No, it is not just a disclosure, it is recognition also.
Recognition also.
Yes. So, okay, I did not talk about recognition and measurement, first of all. Presentation, disclosure is second of all.
Yes.
So, recognition means you will have to pass a journal entry. Measurement means you assign a value to that particular entry. That is in the books of accounts. When it comes to financial statement, it is presentation and disclosure. Okay. Now, dues to micro and small enterprises. If somebody says, as on 31/3/19 and 31/3/20, the company has not received information from vendors regarding their status under micro and small enterprises, then this is wrong. That's why I have struck off. As an auditor, you will have to tell the company to get the information and be very assertive rather than being defensive like this. The company has no dues or the company has following dues. Now you have to endeavor to get the information from the client, or finally, you will have to send a letter to all the vendors to say that if you don't revert back with your with your response, then we will consider it as though you are not MSME. You are not MSME. So that will be the basis on which you can classify everybody as a non-MSME. Otherwise, if they send something or they have proactively given or they reacted your letter, then you will have to classify them and give the disclosure accordingly. Please be careful. Although the Act deals with micro, small and medium, the disclosure required for this and the protection under the MSMED Act within 45 days you have to pay to all the MS, is only to micro and small. Medium avrige ಏನು benefit ಇಲ್ಲ. Although the Act gives 3 classifications, micro, small and medium, the entire benefit, the classification here for accounting purpose and for income tax, what I mean, the MSMED 45 days interest interest will not be allowed for income tax purpose, is only to micro and small vendors, not for medium vendors. The following class of property, plant and equipment are revalued in the balance sheet. So you will have to give that. The management is of the opinion that international transactions are at arm's length. The last point, paisas have been rounded off to the nearest rupee. ಇದು ಹೇಳೋದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು. ಇದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಐ ಹೋಪ್ Anant Narayan Pai, have you come back please?
Yes.
I am so sad that you are not, now you are, I can see, so nice. I want to see your face, sir. I think you are, I'm only seeing your head, which is very, of course, very important. Yes, now I can see you.
Yes.
Now I'm just telling Anant Narayan Pai avare, now Ind AS ಮಾಡುವಾಗ rounding off ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ರೌಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಟರಾಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆಫೀಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ?
ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಸರ್. ರೌಂಡ್ ಆಫ್
ಮಾಡೋದು ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾ ಕೆಟ್ಟದಾ?
ಒಳ್ಳೇದು ಸರ್. ಅದು ಮಾಡೋದು ರೌಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು.
ರೌಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಟು ವಾಟ್? rupees, or are you rounding off to hundreds, thousands and lakhs?
Sir, if the figure is big, we round off to the nearest 100.
Okay.
But in Ind AS, round off is compulsory, no, sir?
Very important. You know what? In Ind AS, if you look into Division 1 and Division 2, Division 1 talks about you may round off, whereas in Ind AS, you shall round off. You shall round off. You know, rounding off, illi hundreds, thousands and lakhs. Alli lakhs, I think it is thousands, lakhs and millions.
Yes.
It's straight away. If somebody in Ind AS has given absolute figure in the financial statement, let us say 25 crore, 35 lakh, 75,201, perfect ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ, we point it out as a mistake and say this rounding off, he should have done at least to the nearest thousands or lakhs as per the Division 2. If he has not rounded it off, then see, the point I'm trying to say is, by not rounding off, you are actually confusing the reader. I mean, ನಮ್ಮ ಆಫೀಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನನಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದಾರ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ, I want to see it rupees in lakhs only. I want to see rupees in lakhs only because my mind is set to that. ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾನು rupees lakhs ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಡನ್ ಆಗಿ, and one figure is rupees in lakhs and sudden one figure comes in rupees in crores and another in rupees in millions ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಬಂದ್ರೆ, that is also considered as a mistake. Once you decide the rule of rounding off, the same rule of rounding off should be adhered to in the complete financial statements. So very important. So that's why I brought Anant Narayan Pai. He deals with Ind AS, and Ind AS nalli rounding off is a must, shall, whereas here it is an option. I would say you please round it off at least to the nearest rupee. And if you anywhere did it, please put a note like this. Paisas have been rounded off to the nearest rupee. And due to this rounding off, the numbers presented throughout the document may not add up precisely to the totals, and percentages may not precisely reflect the absolute figures.
So how
1 rupee 50 paise when it is rounded off, it will take as 2 rupees.
2 rupees.
Another 1 rupee 50 paise when it is rounded off, it becomes 2 rupees. If somebody takes a calculator and calculates 2 rupees and 2 rupees, it will show 4 rupees, alva?
Yes.
The computer will show 3 rupees. So that is what we say, that the numbers presented throughout the document may not add up precisely to the totals because of this reason, because it is automatically rounded off, but then calculation it will take the actual figure. So this is what is the disclosure that we are giving. Then finally, previous year figures have been regrouped or reclassified wherever necessary to correspond with the current year classification bar disclosure, or the company was incorporated and so and so, and the financial statement considers the transaction effected from the date of incorporation, that is so and so. This being the first year, the previous year figures cannot be provided. So this is what is given normally. So that gets me to the end of my disclosure. Now
two questions so people to end up this topic.
No. Yeah, I mean, I would request, before I take up the questions, how many questions are there, Raj?
There's only one question.
Okay, then let's finish on that.
Yeah. This is in case of a tangible asset that is trademark in the books of the company, income earned by company for use of trademark by group of companies with respect to the turnover. They are requesting you to throw some light on this.
The trademark is an intangible asset.
Intangible asset, yes, sir.
Correct. So what is the question?
The income earned by the company for use of this trademark,
yeah,
by the group of the companies with respect to its turnover.
There is no, I mean, you are earning it as a royalty or
Royalty, yes, yes.
you are earning that particular royalty income. So royalty income, what is the accounting policy? So based on every either the use of the name or the number of products sold, you will have to have a proper agreement between you and your subsidiary as to how you are accounting for that particular income. How you are actually what is your pattern of earning income. So that has to be the disclosure basis, and you will also have to see whether if you are not earning anything, if you have that asset in your balance sheet because you purchased, let us say today I bought Glaxo or some Parle G into non purchase ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. Parle G says you give me 1,000 crores for acquiring that particular name. ನಾನು 1,000 crores acquire ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಅಸೆಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ತಗೊಂಡು I will have to amortize it over a period of its existing life, not more than 10 years, rebuttable presumption according to accounting standard 26. Now, if I'm not earning anything, then I have to impair it. Earning it, that goes on one way, and income goes on recognizing in a different pattern. So that is how it happens. Yeah.
So one before is a general query where we all get stuck up with the last point.
Yeah.
Previous year figures being regrouped, reclassified wherever necessary,
yeah,
to correspond to your current year's classification disclosure.
Yeah.
When there's no change in the pro forma, what could be the possible mistakes, sir? Whether some mistake which I did earlier year and getting it corrected now?
No.
What are the possible scenarios that come here?
No. What can happen is, say, let us say telephone expenses. You had last year grouped it under administration expenses. Now you want to create another line item called communication expenses.
Okay. Only such thing.
So I moved it from administrative expenses to communication expenses. All internet, work from home, communication expenses this year has become very big.
Yeah.
Separate line item. So last year, no, allinda tegedi illige haakತೀನಿ ನಾನು.
Okay.
ಯಾರನ್ನ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಆ ಫಿಗರ್ ಈ ಫಿಗರ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಯ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಅದನ್ನ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. But I cannot, please, you brought a very good question. Can a mistake of the last year be adjusted? No. If mistake of the last year, which was not properly accounted, that has to be shown as a prior period expenditure heading separately. The point to be noted. So now what I'm doing is, I will ask Anant Narayan Pai to take up certain issues on auditing standards, when he has got some very interesting issues, some 14-15 issues, which we will be taking up now.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ದೀಪಾವಳಿಯ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. ನಾವಿವತ್ತು ಪಂದ್ರಾಜ್ ಸರ್ ಮತ್ತೆ SS ನಾಯಕರದ್ದು ಕನ್ನಡ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತ ಜುಗಲ್ಬಂದಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಭಾರಿ ಸಂತೋಷವಾಯಿತು. ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅವರಿಗೂ ಸಹ. I'm audible, no?
Yeah, you are audible, but you have to be slightly louder.
Yeah.
A little louder, sir.
ಗೀತಾ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಕೇಳಿದೆ. SS ನಾಯಕರದ್ದು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಭಾರಿ ಸಂತೋಷವಾಯಿತು. SS ನಾಯಕಿ ನನ್ನ ಮೇಲೆ ಭಾರಿ ಅಭಿಮಾನ for 2 reasons. One, he is from Udupi district, and secondly, his daughter-in-law is my student. That is why he has introduced with kind words.
Mallikarjun avare, please mute your.
Disturbance.
I request the host to please mute everybody else.
Yeah.
Please host everybody. I mean, okay. See, Gururaj has introduced me telling that Anant Narayan Pai ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರಂತ. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಕೇಳುದು, ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರೇ. ಸೊ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಆನ್ಸರಿಂಗ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಭಾರಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. Whenever I got doubts, I always contact him for the clarifications, and he never allows me to go disappointed. Every time he gives me the correct answer, and he is very down to earth in clarifying issues.
Yes.
And I'm very happy that today in the audience, Mr. Anand Botnis is there. He was the chairman, and I was the chairman of Udupi branch. Senior member B.B. Shanbog is there. He's from Bengaluru, very senior person. Then Chandrakant Rao is there. He was the chairman when we initiated to form Udupi branch in the year 2005.
Oh.
So I'm very glad to talk in their presence. So I have taken up only the small issues, not the corporate issues, non-corporate issues, by targeting the young chartered accountants, because they may see the many CAs may have started practice for last 2-3 years. They may have the confusion. For their sake, I have taken only the simple issues. I have discussed with Gururaj Acharya yesterday, and he has given the concurrence. I will just take up the first. We'll start with the appointment letters. Normally, every CA will have a doubt whether the appointment is mandatory for non-corporate sector. Of course, it is mandatory. Now the question arises whether we have to accept it every year or it can be on a perpetual basis. For example, till it is withdrawn, you are appointed a chartered accountant. Suppose it is given, then whether you have to accept every year. I have to take the appointment letter every year. And another issue is whether the appointment letter is required whenever we do the 44AB audit or GST audit, whether separate appointment letters are required. These are the issues with respect to appointment letter. My view is it is always better to accept the appointment letter every year, number one. As far as non-corporate sector is concerned, I am of the opinion that you can take a single appointment letter for 44AB audit and GST audit. But when the question of corporate sector, where you are appointed as statutory auditor under Companies Act, it is always any disturbance or
No. Please go ahead.
I think as far as corporate sector, it is better for anybody, any chartered accountant, to accept, get the appointment letter separately for GST audit and any other assignment like tax audit or any other attached function. It is better you take a separate assignment and separate engagement letter every year. So I think Mr. Acharya is with you. Next question comes.
I agree with you. I fully agree with you.
Next question comes engagement letter. See, whenever you take an appointment letter, it should be followed by engagement letter. It is compulsory. Nowadays, the company is appointing you for 5 years. So they are giving you the appointment letter in the first year, and for next 5 years there is no reappointment. Therefore, you may not get the appointment letter every year. So you have to accept engagement letter every year. You take engagement letter every year. Gururaj.
Yeah.
Whether the engagement letter is required for a company every year, or one engagement letter 5 years is sufficient.
No, I would say engagement letter is required every year. Yeah.
Because there may be some changes in audit assignments. Now, for example, CARO 2020 will come next year. So for that sake, we may have to take the engagement letter every year.
Yes. Every year the client is engaging you and paying you separately. In fact, in the engagement letter, we also discuss about the fee. So therefore, it would always be better to have an engagement letter on an annual basis rather than on a consolidated basis.
Now, another question which the youngsters always feel is whether there are any standard audit checklist or audit planning checklist for non-corporate sectors. For example, you are auditing a small shop with hardly turnover of 25-30 lakhs and you are doing audit under section 44AD or 44ADA. So whether you have to have a extensive checklist or you can tailorize the same to suit your requirements. That is another doubt always the youngsters have. Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So my opinion is there is no standard format. Depending upon your audit client, depending upon the materiality, you may have a tailor-made audit planning checklist. Now, next issue is management representation. Whether a management representation required for a non-corporate sector. Yes, management letter. Whenever you attest anything, any document, you have to management representation. Now the question arises: you are taking clarification from the management, whether that whatever clarification given has to be incorporated in management letter. For example, you do the bank audit, and you have doubts about the standard, whether the asset is standard or substandard or doubtful. You are asking clarification from the management, and management clarifies. For example, the bank management clarifies. So my opinion is all the clarifications need not be incorporated in management representation. Management representation is a broad, it's a macro base, it's not a micro base. Micro things you can get clarifications. Now, signing financial statements. Whether you have to the partner when it is not feasible. Somebody can throw some light whether the signature of all the partners required.
Nataraj, what is your view?
Yeah, sir, I personally feel, and in one of the cases where my friend was severely affected, where there were two partners, and then finally one partner went to even to our institute and tells that my views were not at all taken. The only partner who has signed in collusion with the chapter has damaged me in total. So I feel when there are two or three, better to take all the three signatures.
I fully agree with your view. And it's always better to take all the partners, particularly the managing partners. I mean, you see, in the case of a partnership firm, every partner has a veto. Unlike in the case of a company where the majority rules. In the case of a partnership firm, every partner has a say in the affairs of the company. So therefore, whether it is managing or otherwise, I would say the managing partners would definitely sign. But it is better to take the non-managing partner signature also, because that becomes the basis and the auditor will be safe to that particular extent. Now, the only issue that could come out is what if the partners are not available all at a place? So we would definitely in such situations say that you send it as a mail or send it as a physical document, ask them to sign it, and then a couple of partners can say for and on behalf of the firm, the two partners can sign, but let it be approved by all of them. That is the best case scenario.
But in case of companies, sometimes what will happen is some of the whole-time directors may not be able to sign because they have not attended the meeting. Whole-time, I underline the whole-time directors. The meeting was attended by 2 directors or 3 directors, they sign. And the whole-time director is unable to sign. Then what will happen? Whether it is advisable for us to...
Now, in the case of a company, we have very clear that if it is approved by the board, it is sufficient. And therefore, when I am signing it, this is not the requirement. Whenever it is signed by the company, it has to be signed as for and on behalf of the board. Let us say I and Anant Narayan Pai are directors, and Anand Putnis are also 4 directors. We are the executive directors. So, and Anant Narayan Pai, the executive director, has not attended the meeting, whereas we 3 directors have approved the financial statements. Once it is approved, if the director has not attended, then it is his problem. And that's the difference between a partnership firm and a company. So as long as the quorum is there and the meeting has gone through, so we that the board has approved the financial statements. And when I sign, I will not sign just as K. Gururaj Acharya and Anand Putnis signing it as Anand Putnis. We would say for and on behalf of the board. Very important that this has to be incorporated in the financial statement, because I am not signing as Gururaj Acharya, I am signing as a member as a board. So for and on behalf of the board.
There is one more issue. A company financial statement has been signed by key management personnel, key managerial personnel, like company secretary, and then CEO if appointed, CFO if appointed. Suppose they are unable to sign.
That
they are not attended the meeting.
No, they need not attend the meeting, but they have to sign. When if the requirement under the Companies Act to sign, even if they have not attended the meeting, so the meeting is of that of the board of directors. If the board of directors have approved it, in fact, I would suggest that the KIMP should sign it before it goes to the board.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the very important issue regarding accounting standards. Mr. Gururaj Acharya has discussed elaborately all the corporate disclosures, etc. Now the basic question arises for a non-corporate sector or LLPs, which accounting standard they have to follow, whether the company's accounting standard or the accounting standard prescribed by the institute. Let us discuss one by one. LLPs. The regulatory authority.
Nataraj, what is your view?
Yeah, regulatory.
So, I mean, we discussed that there are 2 accounting standards.
We already discussed on this.
No. Let me tell you broadly. There are in India 2 frameworks of accounting standards. There is the accounting standard on Ind AS, and within accounting standard there are 2 accounting standards. One is the company's accounting standard 2006 and Ind AS. Okay. Now within accounting standards we have 2 things, which is actually accounting standards of the institute and accounting standards of the company's standard rules 2006. So what Mr. Anant Narayan Pai is raising an issue is for LLPs, whether you will use ICAI accounting standards or company's accounting standard rules 2006.
Sir, as per ICAI, because you just clarified, no, sir, earlier that for companies it is mandatory to go by what is specified in the Companies Act.
The issue that he has brought out is LLP is also a body corporate.
Body corporate, yeah.
Therefore, and it is regulated by Registrar of Companies.
So we need to follow the as per specified by the Companies Act.
No, that is not the right answer.
Okay.
For LLP, as far as LLP is concerned, it is not governed by the Companies Act. It may have the same regulator. The regulator may be the MCA and ROC, etc. But then for the purpose of the statute which is actually governing them, it is only the for LLP it is an LLP Act, and for companies it is Companies Act. Whereas the Companies Accounting Standard Rules, what we saw, section 133, is applicable only to Companies Act and not to LLPs. So
okay.
For cooperative society, for trusts, for societies, for charitable and unregistered organization, it is all ICAI. But the interesting issue which Mr. Pai is bringing out is for charitable and religious trusts, whether accounting standards is applicable. I think Anantar and Pai, you can answer that.
My opinion is, as long as there is no commercial activities, the accounting standards are not applicable.
Yes, very important.
Commercial activities. Yeah.
Yes. When we were discussing a situation where we are auditors for a trust, okay, which has 100 crores revenue, and the source of revenue is from running a hospital, and say 75 crores from running a hospital, 25 crores from running a Vidyalaya, and another 5 crores from charities, donations, temples, etc. So if any part of the activity is commercial in nature, a hospital and a school is actually a commercial activity, it may not be a profit-making organization. Let us not confuse profit-making and commercial. So the moment they're into commercial activity, then they are bound to follow accounting standards, and in this case, accounting standards of the institute. Sir, let us say if it is a pure temple or a pure charitable organization, let us say a Goshala. We can take the example of Pejawar Mutt Swami running a Goshala. I mean, it is a trust which receives donations and spends for the protection of the cow and for whatever. So in that context, even if this particular trust is collecting 30 crores and spending, there is no commercial activity. Donation received and expenditure spent. So it is only income and expenditure, not having any commercial aspect to it. So therefore, in that context, none of the accounting standards need to be followed.
Excuse me, sir. But in case of temples, when we collect for, like, say, Lakshadiposa charges, puja charges, and all that, don't they become a commercial activity?
No, sir. That is a religious, no?
It is
under religious. Is it not a commercial?
Now, what is a commercial aspect to it? Whether it is only donations?
Not donations, sir. It is a specific charge, sir. Nimage hath deepa hachbe kadre 25 rupaye kodi.
That is seva, no?
Yes. Now we categorize it, we call it seva, but actually we make big money out of it.
No, you may make big money. You may make big money, but I think, as Narendra and Pai rightly said, it is only seva. I mean, finally, donation collected in different ways.
Yes.
You ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ದೀಪ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಹಚ್ಚಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಅದು ಪುಕ್ಸಟನ್ನು ಹಚ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೋದು, ನನ್ನ ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ತಂದು ಹಚ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೋದು. I'm just telling like that. So the element of commercial aspect in that. ಇದು ಒಂದು ನಾವೊಂದು nobody is forcing. ಅದೇ school, other person also runs a school, and therefore school, hospitals, these are all commercial activity. Now, I would not say that ಒಂದು ರಥ ಎಳೆದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಇಟ್ಟರೆ that's all in the nature.
Then we can extend. I'm sorry, I'm just
not commercial in nature.
Then if we extend the concept of seva, then I'll say my school fees is seva. I'm just helping the poor.
No. Well, you may say so, but then the world will not accept like that. I mean, I would put it like that. So it should be in the professional judgment also. You'll have to sometimes draw a line as to what is commercial and what is seva.
Okay.
So in the case of cooperative societies, the interest should be recognized on cash basis as per Societies Act, Cooperative Societies Act.
Yeah.
Now, to that extent, we are not following accounting standards. Whether we have to qualify our opinion. Any cooperative.
I think what you are doing is, why even in the bank, for example, even in the bank, we say that beyond 90 days, if it does not come, I will not income recognition and asset classification.
That is okay. That is asset. Here you are, even in standard asset, you are not supposed to recognize.
Okay. Now, well, you can bring that as an accounting policy by virtue of this, and all other incomes are accounted on accrual basis. Only this is accounted on, you are considering accrual on receipt basis. To that extent, the income tax department also can take an objection saying that you are following a hybrid basis of accounting. You are following a hybrid basis of accounting is rejected ab initio. But then one has to find out what is that, if it is accrued, what will be the income tax angle. But as long as for accounting purpose, if you are saying that my policy is to account it on receipt basis, for accounting purpose, it should be open.
But it is not a policy, it is a statute. As per the statute, I am following.
Yes, therefore, you are telling for the policy is to fall in line with the statute.
Statute, yes.
Yes.
So now another issue is whether the cash flow statement is mandatory when the same is required under the accounting standard issued by ICAI in case of a non-corporate. For example, turnover exceeding 50 crores or borrowing more than 10 crores.
The answer is yes. You will have, because even our accounting standard does not give a exception to cash flow statement for non-SMC. For SMCs only, they have told that you need not prepare.
So if it is not prepared, then we may have to qualify the report, right?
I would suggest, instead of qualification, you convince the enterprise to prepare a cash flow statement. Profit and loss account balance sheet madmele cash flow statement.
Yes, sir. Here, to add it also, I think in our auditor report, we say we have verified the balance sheet, statement of P&L and cash flow.
No, the point Mr. Anandanaran Pai is bringing out is if they have not brought it out, and I have talked about only these two things.
Correct, but will we be correct, sir, when we are certifying like this?
I told in the beginning itself, I told in the beginning, if the cash flow is not prepared, you cannot say cash flow I have seen. In fact, we had seen in one of the contexts, we had seen one of the published accounts, the company has told, we have audited the financial statements, including balance sheet, profit, loss, and cash flow. Cash flow illa.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ನಾ ಕೇಳೋದು ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ನಮಗ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಚಾರ್ಟರ್ಡ್ ಅಕೌಂಟೆಂಟ್ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಈ ತರ ಆಡಿಟ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದಾ?
ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು, ತೊಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. You can say cash flow. Yeah, you will have to qualify. You will have to. The larger question that you are telling is, if a company has not prepared a profit and loss account, can I say balance sheet only available? If a profit and loss account it has not prepared? That's the point that you are trying to say. But the bigger point, therefore, practically speaking, I would say get it done rather than giving a qualification saying that that's the point I'm saying.
Yeah. Sir, I will give one example. In case of education institution, the government wants us to certify only the receipt and payment account.
Yeah.
They don't want to certify income and expenditure balance sheet. So under that, we have to modify the report accordingly.
Sure.
They ask us to certify only receipt and payment account. They are not concerned about balance sheet and income and expenditure.
We prepare balance sheet, sir, for education institutions also.
We prepare, but department insists to certify only the receipt and payment account.
Only for department purpose, we certify separate R&P.
Yeah, and they want us to issue a report on receipt and payment account.
But under the Societies Act, we have to certify both. No?
So I would suggest if the department wants receipts and payment only, you must prepare balance sheet and income and expenditure account so that receipt and payment makes sense. Yes. ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸರ್ತಿ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಮಾಡೋ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಒಂದಾದ್ರೂ ರಿಸೀಟ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿದೆ, ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಬರುವಂತ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಮಾಡೋ ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕು ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ.
ಈಗ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬರ್ತಂದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ನವರಿಗೆ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಕೊಡುವ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇಲ್ಲ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆ, ಅವ್ರು ರಿಸೀಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾತ್ರ.
ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಡೋದು ಬೇಡ ಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ.
ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಎರಡು ಸೆಟ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಒಂದು ರಿಸೀಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಇನ್ಕಮ್
ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು.
ಅದು ಎರಡು ಯುಡಿ ಅಂತ ತಗೋಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ.
Definitely. Yes. Now, another, a non-corporate they maintain the financial statement as per ICDS, not as per accounting standard. For example, GST collected will form part of the total turnover.
Sir, we have discussed it at length.
Okay, sir. Okay. Yeah. I was not there at one time. Yeah. Whether the tax audit is considered as a general purpose audit or specific purpose audit.
Specific.
Yeah.
Next. Hello.
We are unable to hear you.
Hello.
Anand Pai, sir.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Whether tax audit is concerned as a general purpose audit or special purpose audit. Hello.
Yeah. You're able to hear me, Nataraj?
Yes, sir. I am able to hear you.
No, this is a very good question. That is why I marked it in red. What is a general purpose audit? See, when a financial statement is made, it is not a general purpose audit. It is actually a general purpose financial statement. Use this. The audit is auditally now but the financial statements can be general purpose financial statement or special purpose financial statement. So special purpose financial statement on Madwaga, I bring out that this is done only for this purpose and nobody should take any decision based on this. They should not take any decision on this. Disclaimer, then I will say special purpose financial statement. So according to a tax audit financial statement which is prepared is actually a general purpose financial statement only, because you may give it for income tax department and your audit report may be for income tax department, but that is relied upon even by the banker. He will consider it as audited for his purpose also. So therefore, we take all precautions to do that. However, if it is very specific purpose financial statement, you must say that nobody else should take any decision on this financial statement. If it takes, I will not be responsible, and you will be responsible for your risks, etc.
So whether then the question is whether SA 700 is applicable, because we are giving in departmental format.
So there, what we are telling for tax audit purposes, please incorporate the elements of SA 700 within Form 3CA and 3CB.
3CB, right.
Also, guidance note and tax audit also says the same thing. You will have to include the elements of SA 700. I told Mangaluru branch in address madide, I don't know, Ballari branch go madirbeku. SIRC August 2nd, I spoke on audit aspects of tax audit, wherein I brought out this particular thing that the elements of SA 700, the is responsible for preparation of tax audit report. He is only it. I am responsible for verifying the correctness of the thing which is filled in by him, and I am doing my audit based on standards on auditing, which means I am as a tax auditor, I've actually looked considering test checks and sampling is also permitted. So standards on audit permit me. So I'm doing all that when I'm doing the tax audit, especially with respect to TDS aspects, where it may be many. Tomorrow you should not say one TDS, true and correct and then because the argument that comes out is true and fair is on a lesser platter as compared to true and correct. So true and correct and the department may think 100% you are verified. So one the transaction they should not shoot me. So therefore I'm telling that he is filling it up truly and correctly. I am verifying it based on my guidance note, standards on auditing and guidance note on tax audit, which permits me to adopt test checks. And therefore, if some of the aspects are left out, don't blame me. So therefore, it is better to bring the elements of SA 700 within the Form 3CA, 3CB.
So I have seen some of the big firms, what they do is they take the 3CB and 3CA and 3CD in Word format with all the qualifications, observations, etc. Take the PDF copy and attach with the financial statement.
Yes, sir. That is the best thing.
Departmental, module. In the schema, we cannot put everything.
Correct.
That is also okay, no?
Yes, that's fine.
So finally, one very important issue: whether we can have two different audit reports for a single financial statement. For example, one for tax audit and one for general purpose.
What is the situation?
I signed two reports.
No, what is the situation? What is the reason?
For example, under RERA, you are supposed to sign the cash flow statement. But then actually,
I think what we discussed, even for the cooperative, you talked about some society wherein they only receipts and payment.
Right.
So there we concluded that yes, you are giving reports take two UDINs, as long as it is not two financial statements with one audit report.
A single financial statement and more than one audit report.
Sure.
So thank you very much, sir. I thank Gururaj sir for having given me the opportunity to address this august audience. So very glad to be a part of this session with my Gururaj Acharya. So I still remember when you first visited Udupi in the year 2006, when I was the chairman. On 9th February, your session was the last session. You have taken the session on accounting standards, and there is one more hour remaining, and that hour you have taken the session on fringe benefit tax in the year 2006, and it was very memorable. You got the opportunity to be a part of head the Brahmotsav temple. So So we still remember that day. So
No, I don't remember anything except the Brahmotsava which you.
Brahmotsava.
No? So nice. Thank you so much for giving me that wonderful opportunity. Yeah, Natas, any more questions we have? We can take it up in the next 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, there's one question
to
I think
celebrate
I
the
already
call.
answered. This is now that we are seeing various companies collecting GST and paying it to the government. As a chartered accountant, what precaution we need to take before we certify the accounts in case of GST violations? I have replied that we need to report wherever there are violations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just want to, before handing over to you, sir, I just speak a couple of minutes while thanking the committee members and chairman.
Are there no questions? Are there no questions? I saw somebody asking. Please ask.
The same question I put it to you, sir.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah. He's asking not paying to the government. When it's not paying, we need to report. We need to report.
Are there any other questions? No other questions?
No other questions. No other questions.
I'm from Ule. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Okay. See, you may be knowing in many of the cases, this is regarding the appointment letter to be taken from the client.
Yes, sir.
Right. You may be knowing there are mediators, some income tax practitioners, for example. They want us to do the audit for their clients and also including tax audits. When we carry the work for them, and it may not be possible for us to contact even the contact the people, the actual HSs, to get the appointment letter. Can we get the appointment letter and assignment letter from the income tax practitioner and saying that I have the client and I have to get get these papers audited, and I appoint you on behalf of my clients to do the tax audit or any audit and report to me and also to my.
Sir, we got your question, sir. I think this is a situation where a power of attorney holder registration.
Yes.
So I don't think, sir, this is a good practice. We should not encourage. All chartered accountants put together, we should resist this particular practice if at all it is happening. First of all, we have to have. I would like to see the client, and if I don't have the right to talk to the client and get a simple appointment letter from the client, we don't know what else is being actually hidden from us. So therefore, it is not a good practice to take an appointment letter from the income tax practitioner, which is not legal document at all. Who is he to give me when he does not have a locus standi, legally speaking? So therefore, sir, I would say that we should desist this practice. In fact, sir, I would put it like this. Not getting an appointment letter is lesser crime than getting an appointment letter from an income tax practitioner.
Yes, true.
Getting a letter from the income tax practitioner is probably showing that I was not privy to the client and therefore I am at a higher risk there.
No, sir, and we are creating evidence that we are not discussing with the client also.
Absolutely.
Why I ask you this question is, one of the client, when the practitioner even has gone up to the commissioner and said, yes, I am not getting my client. I have got the authority power of attorney to appear and I will appear. You have no authority to ask. If that is the case, how can we manage?
No, I don't think, sir. Let you appear before the commissioner, but then when it comes before the institute, I am sure. What the institute will say is what I just now said.
Yeah. Before I just quickly, we have been discussing the audit reports, reporting requirements, two things with Gururaj Acharya around. I would love to traverse that particular part. Independence, the word independence is very important. We use the independent audit report. Are we really independent? The way the question was now posed, where the tax practitioner giving us a blanket certificate of assurance that I know the client. So our independence is at stake, friends. So be very cautious and careful. Reporting, not only we are reporting to the government authorities, there is a conscience also that we are reporting to our conscience to have our conscience clear. That is that is how as a chartered accountant we need to grow over a period of time. And the questions I have today that have been asked are so lovely and so wonderful. Even basic questions have been asked. As a child, today is Children's Day. A child is very curious. He wants to get answer even for the silliest things. I think the child in us should never die. As long as the child in us is alive, we keep on asking such questions. That curiosity should remain. Independence should be with us. Right? We need to dictate wherever possible. Do the best. And I take this opportunity because here we have Gururaj Acharya sir, who gives absolute clarity. He doesn't give anything vague and bold. That's the best part of him. Along with Pai sir, who has been my co-panel speaker. Pandya sir is here throughout. All of us, I think the score has crossed almost 125 plus at one point of time. On a Deepavali day, like I'll take one more minute and close. Where one of the scenes from the Mahabharata, where Krishna is going inside to dress himself up. His charioteer is curious. Sarthi, Krishna. So he goes and sees that Krishna adjusting his mukuta and all that. He's asked, sir, Krishna better. So Krishna's charioteer is surprised. Sarthi, you Duryodhana get better Swata Devaridiri. ದುರ್ಯೋಧನ ಹೇಗೆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಇದಾನೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅವಾಗ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಎರಡು ಮಾತು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ದುರ್ಯೋಧನ ಹೊರಗಿಂದ ನೋಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅವನು ಒಳಗೇನಿದೆ ಗಮನಿಸಲ್ಲ ಸೊ ಈಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ವರಿಡ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಹೌ ದಿ ಔಟ್ಸೈಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೆಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ he ignores. So the second question that put by the charioteer, sir, you yourself for the divine. ನೀವು ಯಾಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅವ್ರ ಕತ್ಲಲ್ಲ ದುರ್ಯೋಧನ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಕತ್ಲ ಇದ್ದಂಗೆ ಅವಾಗ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಬೆಳಕಿನ ಕೆಲ್ಸನೇ ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕತ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಕು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಬೆಳಕಿದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಕತ್ಲು ಬರಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ. I think what Gururaj Acharya sir is doing is coming to us, and whatever darkness we have in the say whether reporting aspects or disclosure, he removes, and that is the beauty of Gururaj sir. I will certainly thank Ballari sir for bringing me on to this panel. Yeah, now one day there, Ballari sir, ನೀವು ನನಗೆ ಆದೇಶ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. And when Gururaj sir, when he told me that it was Gururaj sir request, I said, Gururaj sir ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಭ್ರಾಂತಿ ಅದು. ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಜ್ಞಾನದ ಭಂಡಾರ. ಇದು ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಹೌದು, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಡಿಕ್ಷನರಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ತೊಂದರೆ. I asked him anything, he speaks extempore. And today I think the time is so spent. On a Deepavali day, what better could we have, friends? I think ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಜನ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಸೇರಿ ದೀಪ ಹಚ್ಚಿದೀವಿ. ದೀಪ ಹೇಗೆ ಸುತ್ತಲೂ ಕತ್ಲ ಕಳೀತಾರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲರ ಕೆಲಸ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಕಾಣ್ತದೆ. And in this aspect, thank you, Gururaj sir. I think you've been lovely. Ballari sir, thanks for bringing me. Thanks for all the chairmen and managing committee members of all the 7 branches. Right? It is really an honor to me to be sharing a platform with my guru, right? And his guru's guru. Thank you so much, sir, for your parting remarks.
I'll speak for 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
I want to highlight, the stalwarts like Chetty, sir, and Anand Potnis, all these seniors are seeing on the screen. And once Gururaj appeared on the screen, in 1990, from 90s it went up to 120. The attendance. So that is Gururaj. And always I speak the confidence of presenting a paper based on the research and the work a person does. So a true example for that is Mr. Gururaj. Always, I know the amount of effort that he makes at the cost of repetition. I very humbly request all the members who are present now to make full use of the thoughts that we have received, the ideas that you have received from them, and at the cost of what's called family time on the festival day. And now most of the times he sits at 3 to 4 a.m. He gets up and sits for presentation and the preparation of these PPTs. And for PPTs he does so much of research. And we could see today the blue letters are optional. At least these things you should carry home. And this is not given in the what's called PPT. Those who don't attend, definitely they will miss a lot. And I am one person who believes a busy man is one who finds time for all the activities. So he is the man, he is the best example that he is sacrificing his family time, sacrificing his festival time. Then he is doing such a great job. And this is the first of its kind, how to present the report and how to, what's called, yesterday also, what is the documentation. These are the real issues which small and medium practitioners are very, very weak at, including the language. So this is a very special program, and without giving much time, I have asked them to speak on this. Even yesterday, Chinnaswamy Ganeshan also told me that whenever you speak to me, you give some extra challenge, even though I have spoken hundreds of seminars. Same thing with Gururaj also. He has specifically prepared this presentation for these what's called SMPs. So the SMP, saving SMPs is biggest challenge after 1/7/2020, being Code of Conduct Committee's chairman. I am requesting all of you to alert your friends to be doubly cautious in signing any paper before submission to before affixing leading signature. So from bottom of my heart, I voluntarily thank Gururaj and also Mr. Nataraj and Anant Pai for being with them. And as you mentioned, Anant Pai's opinion about the MPV's, Mr. MPV's opinion about Anant Pai also is same. Whenever a question query is raised from Anant Pai, I have to think twice and then answer. Or I have to find out the research and answer. These are the people, and he is so humble that he is not even ready to show shade to talk here. And you are all the pillars and assets of the institute, and part of the management of SIRC. I am wholeheartedly and fully thankful to you. Today, almost 4 hours without getting up from the chair I am sitting, and I am a great runner. Day after tomorrow, I will be entering 61st year of my age, and at this age also, I wish to learn things, because in between being a public activist, I have lost most of the precious time of learning. But that's apart. It is always there, and irrespective of age. Guru is my guru now. Gururaj is my guru, and he doesn't accept any time because I am learning from him. I am very, very wholeheartedly very happy, and this is the real Deepavali that we are celebrating.
Yes.
Very much to everyone, and I request the chairman of Mysore branch, Mr. Vasudev Rao, to propose vote of thanks to conclude the day's program. Anything else is there, Mr. Vinod?
No, I just wanted to say one thing, sir. ಪುನರಾವರ್ತನೆ ಆದ್ರೂ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೇನೆ. ನದಿ ಎಷ್ಟೇ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾದ್ರೂ ನದಿ ಮೂಲಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ನನ್ನ ಮೂಲ. Pannaraj is my guru, and I always and today I'm very happy because I am between people. One is my guru, one is Vishnu, and one is Shiva. Vishnu, Shiva, ಮತ್ತೆ ನನ್ನ ಗುರು. ಅನಂತ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಿಷ್ಣು ಆಯ್ತು, ನಟರಾಜ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಶಿವ ಆಯ್ತು, ನಮ್ಮ ಗುರುಗಳಂತೂ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಆಶ್ಚರ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಇನ್ನ ಇಬ್ರು ಯಾರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಇನ್ನ ಇಬ್ರು ಯಾರು ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಒಂದ್ಸರ್ತಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ನನಗೆ ಹೆಸರು ಇಟ್ಟುವಂತ ನನ್ನ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ. ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ರು ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಗುರುರಾಜ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ಗುರುರಾಜ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ನಾನು ಹೆಸರಿಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಂದು ಏನು ಕೈ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಇವ್ರು ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ they were here incidentally. I thought at the end they can join us ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. I thank all the 5 of them.
offer my pranams, sir. ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ನನ್ನ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. I go down.
ಸಂತೋಷ. ದಿವಾಳಿ ದಿವಸ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ದದ್ದು ಬಹಳ ಸಂತೋಷ.
ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು.
Thank you so much. And now I hand it over to us.
One second, I wish to first thank every chairman of all the branches, all the 7 branches. I have made them schoolboys like, as a guru, like I have treated them, especially my chairman, Mr. Madhusami. He is performing his office puja, so now he is not on the screen. I told him, your other people will perform puja, you do this is more better puja than that also. You can take the blessings of the completion of the puja. So, and all the chairmen of all the branches, I have not given them any time. As Mr. Nataraj told me, I just actually ordered them. That was the only option for me, because less than half a day I had to arrange for these things. And this is made possible because of the efforts of Mr. Prasanna Kumar. I believe in amending the laws for the benefit of justice. And this is one such program. The 750 members per branch is not at all acceptable to me. I have fought for that and I have amended. This is an exception. I will see that this exception becomes a rule for next year. And I wanted to tell him to give opportunity for each of the branches in Karnataka to be a host branch and other branches to cooperate, so that you see, even on this festival day, more than 120 people are there. Yesterday, almost 200 plus were there, and your efforts will not go waste. And we are all there to see that your efforts are put into practice. And as Nataraj told, the light will go to the darkness to remove the ignorance and make them happier. And this is the most happy Diwali in my lifetime, I can say, because so much of time I spent yesterday and today, almost 8 hours sitting and fixed to the chair. So I, from bottom of my heart, all the delegates and all the chairmen, and formally definitely Vasudeva will was the vote of thanks. But I wanted to thank you all, so I took this opportunity. Sorry for interruption. Sir, Vasudeva sir, you can take over. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Sorry for interruption.
Yeah.
Sir, Panara sir. Sir, this conference will be remembered because it is the first time in the history of ICAI for 2 days, Dhanteras and Deepavali, conference is conducted. The first time, I think.
And we have the blessings of the parents of Gururaj Acharyas. Then I think that is more than ಅದು ಸೋನೆ ಪೆ ಸುಹಾಗ. ಬಹಳ ಆನಂದವಾಯಿತು ಸರ್. ಬಹಳ ಭಾವನಾತ್ಮಕ ಕ್ಷಣಗಳು ಇವು. ಬಹಳ ತಮ್ಮ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಮೇಲೆ ಸದಾ ಇರಲಿ ಅಂತ ತಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ.
ನನ್ನ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ನಾನು ಪನ್ನರಾಜ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಬಹಳ ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಯ್ತು ನಿಮ್ಮ ನೋಡಿ, ನನಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗಿದೆ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now moving forward for the vote of thanks, I call upon Mysuru branch chairman CA Vasudevan sir to propose vote of
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, I am audible, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, audible, sir.
To all.
The session of today was really wonderful, actually. Even though you were working on all the issues, actually, okay, there were so many mistakes, okay, which you were committing, and how to correct those mistakes, okay, the speaker of the day, CAK Gururaj Acharya, has guided us properly. And also, along the discussion, there was CA Anant Narayan Pai and also CA Nataraj MB, who have added value to the day. Got educated, and to add a little bit in Kannada, ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಪಟಾಕಿನೂ ಸಿಡಿದಿಲ್ಲ. It was a wonderful day. I thank all the committee members of 7 branches and all the regional council members who are present here, and also thank all the participants to make this seminar a grand success. Thank you all, sir. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ದೀಪಾವಳಿ ಹಬ್ಬದ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Panara sir.
Thank you, Ballari sir. Bye. Vinod sir, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Patil sir.
Thank you all the chairmen. Oh, Swami came back
All
from
the chairmen.
Thank you, everyone, sir.
Pradeep, thank you. Swami, thank you. Vasudeva Rao, thank you.
Ballari branch chairman ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ sir.
Subhash,
Ballari branch
thank
chairman
you.
ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಹೌದು.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಇವಾಗ ಆಯ್ತು ಸರ್, ಇವಾಗ ಆಯ್ತು ಜಸ್ಟ್.
Very good. You are looking right, Swami only, correct. Swami. Chota Swami. Stop recording, stop recording.
Yeah.
So thank you. ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಹಬ್ಬದ ದಿನ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತೊಂದರೆ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರು ಕೂಡ, because other branches were conducting so many